Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Conversations with an Investor. We've got Nathan Dunn here. He is the guy that holds the world record for the longest barefoot walk. And you would think that a challenge would be like that would be for someone who was mentally strong, physically tough. But as we're about to find out, there was some twists and turns that you'll be shocked and surprised about, that it was actually coming from a place of darkness and survival that had driven him to take on such a monumental challenge. We're going to go into his story, what it took to overcome those feelings, how he's recognised the things that were in his past and how he shed things like self-doubt, put them aside and started to look forward, developed a self-value and self-worth, and he's wanting to pass that message on to those out there. So without further ado, let's dive right in. What were you in foster care for?
So I went into foster care when I was about 8 or 9, I think. Beforehand, my mum was basically come from not a very good home. So my mum was a heroin addict. Dad was a alcoholic, but he was in jail, so I didn't see him. It was really tough at home. The circumstances living at home was bad. Just a lot of physical, mental abuse going on. Yeah, a lot of physical and mental abuse happening. You know, a lot of
just from your mum, or was that your brothers and sisters, or?
It was from. There was like certain occasions where drug dealers were in the house, people coming and going, because obviously, you know, when someone's on drugs, that's all they care about is drugs. They're not really aware of what's going on. And there was just times where, you know, there was no food, but like it got to like quite bad situations sometimes where like I'd have to eat out of the bins. You know, I'd go into the entry and go to the neighbour's house, and it sounds bad now when I talk about it, but they'd be throwing out wasted food, and I'd get me food from there, and yeah, it was tough. And I think it may have been primary school. I'm not sure how social services got involved, but they got involved at some point, and then they just took us away then into foster care.
Brothers and sisters?
Yeah, so I've got one older brother, and then I've got 3 younger brothers and 2 sisters.
Right, so a fair,
fair
household there.
Different dads. Some of them were babies. Some of them were, well, obviously I was only young myself. Mm-hmm. So there's been more brothers and sisters born since after I went into care. So
yeah, I was in foster care, and people were like, you know, they would say, you know, must have been terrible, must have been really, really hard.
Yeah.
My mum wasn't well, so she had to go into hospital, and we went into foster care. And I was like, look, they gave me pocket money. I got a taxi to school.
Yeah.
Right. And I seen people had way worse situations than me. Like, if anything, I thought, fuck, this is like, my life isn't that bad.
Yeah.
You know, they're looking at it from the point of view as that must have been terrible. Like, it wasn't the typical upbringing by any matter of means. Like, if you looked up typical upbringing, laid it next to mine, it wasn't in the ballpark. Like, but I'd seen guys that maybe similar stories to yourself, and they come in there in survival mode.
Yeah,
you know, survival mode. They don't want to tell anybody anything.
Yeah,
they think everybody's against them, and they're constantly on edge.
Yeah,
and you would see that, and they would always be slippery. You know, it was always cagey, and you know, all that sort of stuff. I'm sure I'm preaching to converted here.
Yeah, it was a weird. It was kind of a weird situation, because even though I was living in hell, in, you know, a home, when they came and took me, I was like, you're not taking me. You know, I was fighting so much to not go with these people, because I suppose the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know.
But you have an emotional home, so like you know, it's like having something that's yours that feels home.
Yeah.
And then, so regardless how bad that is, someone taking you away from there, is like, it feels like you're being taken away.
Yeah.
And that, it's like we were speaking before we came on the air. There's a part of you that wants to keep to the known, and going away from that is scary.
Yeah.
And people will find that, and, you know, like trying something new in a bad relationship, you know, bad upbringing, whatever it is, but that's home. Mm-hmm. A great example was actually Tony Robbins had said it to Theo Vaughn on a podcast, and I thought that the guy that's the guy at
Yeah.
mindset
Yeah,
stuff is you know, coming out with a really good analogy. And he's like, see these people that go and stay in a place where there's tornadoes and there's cyclones and the fucking hurricane blows through,
Yeah.
wipes out all their houses, and you go, that's tragic. And they go back and they move back in and they rebuild their houses. And then 2 years later, another tornado comes and tears it through. And at some point you go, like, why do you not go and build the houses somewhere else?
Yeah.
It's because it's home. And that's like what you're describing.
Yeah.
As much as it was hell, it's home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the known. Yeah, and there's some comfort in that, no matter how uncomfortable that might be. There is some form of comfort in it.
But the comfort is it's familiar.
Yeah.
And that you know it, and it feels you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Someone takes you out of that, regardless if it's better or not. It's unfamiliar. It's unknown, and that creates the doubt.
Yeah.
And then what do? You have this battle, like we spoke about. You have the battle. Well, do I fight to get back to what's known, regardless how bad it is, or do I fight the thoughts of the doubts and fears that come up from the unknown?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just easier to go with, well, I know that, right? I know how to handle that. Like I've survived and I've lived eating out the bins, you know, people coming in the house. Like I know what to expect. I don't know what's over here.
Yeah.
You know?
And then what was crazy was I went from this situation to, I still speak to this woman now. The very first experience of being with a foster carer, like you say, people think it's really bad. Was I went to this woman, this like older lady, and she sat me down in the kitchen. She opened the fridge and she was like, "Do you want some food?" I was like, "Yeah." And she made me sausages, and then before I knew it, it was like, that was my first ever full English breakfast, like a fry up. First ever time I had one. And she kept adding, so it was like some bacon as well, some beans, and it was like out of a film. You know, like she was like the most lovely woman, a real foster carer who was trying to help kids, not doing it for other reasons, which I met many of. But it was only temporary, so it was like when they remove you from the home, they put you into a temporary place while they find a long-term foster carer. So I was with her for like 3 months, and it was the best 3 months of me childhood. And then I got moved to another foster carers, and it was different. They weren't the same. They weren't bad people, but they just, maybe there was a financial incentive for a lot of people who I ended up staying with, and then for some people there weren't. I started to notice, because I lived in so many different foster placements, partly because I was starting to be naughty. You know, I was acting out. I was running away. I used to just run away. Like from as early as I remember, I used to just be like, I'm gone.
What were you feeling then? What was going on?
I didn't want to go home, because I'd realised that actually I don't want to go back to that.
You mean home as in your
mum?
mum?
Back to my mum.
Yep.
But I didn't want to stay where I was, because I felt like I'd been forced to be there. And I just wanted to be on my own, away from everyone, and like isolate myself. And obviously, naturally, as I got older, I got better at running away. And when I first ran away, it was like not great at all.
Did you feel like no one wanted you, so you wanted to be alone?
I suppose. I suppose, yeah, initially I probably felt like that no one wanted me. You know, my own parents don't even want me. If they did, why wouldn't they? Why did they do the things?
But they wanted something more than you, and it was drugs. And then you go, well, if I'm not even worth it, then that drives your self-worth into the ground. Yeah,
so then probably switch from feeling like I'm not wanted to then feeling like I don't deserve to be wanted. Like, you know, no one, I'm not good enough, and that's why.
What age were you? So eight when you like when you're thinking these things, how is it, like 8, 10?
About 9, 10, yeah. I started to like.
I mean, like that's a really, really, like I've got kids, and I've seen them, like they're right at that age range. My youngest is 8. My next son's 11. Oldest is 21. That's a really formative part of your years. Like that will really form deep into your character.
Yeah.
You know, if something, and if another influence doesn't take over, and especially if it's coming from within, because it's coming from you, you're having the doubts. Yeah.
I just always had this feeling that I wanted to just disappear, and at least if it disappeared, then it wouldn't matter whether anyone wanted me or they didn't want me. It was just I was like the wind. You know, I was there, but no one knows and no one can see me. And I used to just go off and run away and try to just survive away from everyone, and then until I had to come back, or I get caught by the police, or someone would find me and then they'd take me back. But then when I'd come back, it'd be to a new foster placement because I ran away from them, and they're not going to really put me back to the same place. But yeah, foster care, I had some bad experiences, I had some good experiences.
What stands out to you?
So obviously Debbie, the woman, the first foster care, that was like one of the best experiences.
Shout out to Debbie.
Yeah, she's amazing, and I still, like I say, I still keep in touch with her. Still, when I drive past her house, I'll knock, and she's still doing the same thing. Go in there, there's kids in there, and she's doing more than she should.
Do you ever talk to the kids?
Sometimes I have, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I've spoken to them, and you said, look, I was here X months of years ago, and probably through similar circumstances, maybe not, but we both ended up in the same place. And I went to another 10 different places after here. You want to stay here? Because all I tried to do is get back here. When I was getting moved, I kept asking them, can I go back there? Can I go back there? They were like, she's already got people in there now. It's too late. And she, it's a decent foster carer, I think, when they keep, and this can't always be helped because obviously some kids like me are absolute nightmares, and then you can't really keep them. But she keeps the kids till they're like 21. So they're not there for a year, 2 years, because she changed from a short term to a long term. So she sees it through, they become her kids.
And here's the difficulty, right? I'm thinking, I know what you're talking about. Here's the difficulty. Debbie touched your life in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
If she went long term, she might not have touched your life because she had somebody in there long term. Exactly, there's only so much she can do.
Yeah.
So there's this conundrum of, well, she can help more at the short term, but they all yearn for somebody like Debbie.
Yeah.
But the long term would really make an impact to those small number of people's lives. Mm-hmm. That's a real conundrum, isn't it?
Yeah. You can't save everyone, but we can try.
This is like imagine that there's young kids in foster care now that'll be watching this or hearing, watching this on their social media.
Yeah.
And it's like, what would you tell them? You whisper in their ears to what you would say about like what it was like and what to expect and how to handle it.
Yeah.
You just don't know the power of it.
No, yeah.
Because they'll be thinking the same things that you were and questioning themselves. Because the thing being is that we all need heroes. We need people to look up to. We're social creatures. So you never want to be running away. It sounded to me that when you were describing that, you wanted to be free because you weren't wanted where you wanted to be, and you were forced into somewhere that was better, but you felt forced. So you were escaping. You were wanting to be like the wind and free like the wind.
Yeah.
So you were just wanting to be free.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be stuck between the battle of not wanted where you wanted to be and then being forced to be in a place that you weren't really sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking back on it from where I am right now, what I would say to anyone who's in foster care, who's a kid, who's like 12, 13 years of age, is that the amazing thing that I didn't see then, that I see now, is that we have the power to create, in terms of, I didn't have a family, but I can create my own family. I didn't have a home, but I can grow up and I can get my own home. I didn't have clothes when I was a kid, or I didn't have presents, I didn't have Christmases, I didn't have, lots of things I didn't have, but I can have them now. And so there's hope there that get to be in a position where you are able to be in control, which is basically becoming an adult. When you become an adult, you are in control of what you do. And then that's the beautiful thing. You can now create the life you didn't have, and no one can stop you from creating that. There's no one, stopping you from getting the job you want, or getting the house you want, or traveling the world, or doing anything. So, yeah, I think.
What about their self-worth?
And that, yeah, you are enough. Like, it's a horrible feeling to not feel like you're enough, and everyone is. You are enough. And I realised that I was so intent on trying to prove my worth to everyone over the years, growing up, that I realised that actually the only person I need to prove my own worth to is myself, and that once you start to feel in yourself that you're worthy and you are worth something, and you do make a difference to the world, and you know you're a good person, then that's the only value you need. And then other people will see your value when you start to act like that, because it gives you like an air of I know what I am, I know what I'm worth. And then other people start to go, yeah, I can see that on you. So
were you doing anything, did you ever start to do anything that when you were in foster care that built that?
No, I think so. Shortly before when I was into my teenage years, I was still running away.
You sound like a fucking toe rag.
Yeah. Well, as we were talking earlier about that story, the Scotch egg story,
Yeah.
I used to run away to Wales, because what would happen is I'd run away on the Wirral and the police would be out after me looking for me. Someone would spot me, someone would ring up as a little kid in a bush. You know, like I drive round sometimes where I live, and I'm like, I've slept in that bush, I've slept in that woods. And like, I used to stay in these places. So eventually I was like, I need to get further away because they keep getting me. So
they're quite good at catching me.
Yeah. So I used to, like, not proud of it, but I used to steal. I used to find money. I used to take pound coins. When I say steal, I needed £13. That was my ticket from Wirral to Betsy Code. So I'd get the train there, knowing that no one's going to stop me. Got a ticket. Conductors would be a bit like, you know, like a 12-year-old kid here on the train, but I had my ticket, I had my bag, and they were fine about it. I'd get there and I'd stockpile all my stuff in my bag, and I'd seen Bear Grylls on TV, so I was like, yeah, I can survive. And I'd go away and I'd build shelters, and I'd just run around the hills for 2 weeks, as long as I could. And then I'd do that, and then once I was like running out, I'd go back to the train station and be like, got no ticket. And they'd like, well, who are you? You know, train conductors, police, whatever. Police would find out. They'd then drive me home, which would be lift home. I'd go back to new foster placement. And then,
did you ever go back to the original foster carers?
No.
Or did they just think, was it their decision, or was it social services?
Social services, yeah.
So they're like, regardless of whether you were getting on with them or not, it was just a case of, right, it needs to be moved.
Yeah, because I think it was probably like a standard thing. If you like ran away, like you were gone.
I don't know if that's the right thing.
Yeah.
Like, see if you had a good like if I was a foster carer, I'd be like, kid, like, you've ran away. Right?
Yeah.
But this is your home, and we want to make it feel like home. Whatever reason that you want to go away,
yeah,
I'm sure you've got your reasons, right? But you don't need to go. Like, we can talk to you about why you want to go if you want to talk.
Yeah.
But like, you can be here. Like, this is your place. This is your place.
Yeah, that probably would have been a much better way.
You know, and saying, hey, look, you're away, and that's done, and that you've done that. Like, but let's build on it.
Yeah.
And what was it like when you were out there? What did you do? How long were you out there?
Next time I'll come with you.
Say, look, if you want to go, like, do you want to show me it?
Yeah.
Well, we got a tent.
Yeah.
Show me where it was. Where did you go? And go down and be like, how did you do this? How did you get in there? You know, and start to build that relationship, build that rapport.
Yeah, definitely.
And be like, right, what was the coldest what was the coldest night, or what was the wettest night?
Yeah.
Fancy going back, and we'll jump into a nice warm house.
Yeah.
And you can tell me the rest tomorrow, and sleep in a nice warm bed, you know, and develop that, rather than just whipping you out and then dumping you somewhere else, starting the process again of new place. I've been forced here. I don't have any choices. I don't have any decisions. Nobody's got any say. The foster carer has no say. I don't have any say. Somebody's deciding this for me.
Yeah.
You know, it seems to be amplifying it.
Yeah, and I understand, like, they're very limited in their resources. Like, again, they probably get a lot of stick for their, like, I know a lot of people try to talk about social services in a sense of they fail sometimes, and of course they do. They have failed many people in many areas, like everyone does. But you've got to remember, if that weren't there at all, didn't exist as a service, there'd be kids like me living in that condition, and I don't know whether I'd have made it out of that, especially making it to who I am. I might have become a druggie myself, a criminal myself, but I never did. And their resources are limited, and I get it from a point of view of, let's just get them, feed them, house them, clothe them, look after them as best we can. Let's just get them to 18, Because when you get to an adult, they just go by, which is another big issue people have had. I had it myself. I was very angry for a few years at them. I was like, so you just drop me as soon as I turn into an adult. You don't help me. And it's years later that your mental health problems start to occur from the trauma. And that's what happened to me. It was years later, into my adulthood, that I started to suffer with my mental health. And I was like angry, like, so there's no like aftercare here, or there's no like, they don't, but I understand it too. Yeah. They've only got so much money.
The thing is you understand it now, but you didn't understand it then.
No.
And when you, like, it's one of those things where I don't believe in keeping things from kids. Like, I believe in good leadership is that you know what the commander's doing, you know what the commander's intent is, right? And if you say, right, look, kids, listen, this is the deal, right? You came for a place that wasn't cool, right? And I know that feels like home, right? And I know that you maybe don't feel about coming here and it's great, right? But here's what we're going to do, right? We're going to help you get feeling a bit better than what you do, and we're going to put some things in your life that maybe you're not used to, things like clothes and getting to school and doing these things. It might take a while, but we'll get there, and just try it and see. Yeah. And then here's what the plan is that we're going to get you to the point where you can do this yourself. Right now, I know that sounds far away and it sounds daunting, but we're going to help you. Right. So at some point you're going to be able to do this on your own, and our job is to help you get there. Yeah. Right. And say that, like that, I know that might not be the deal that everybody gets, but it's the one you've got. Right. And we're going to help you. We're going to be there for you. But they know right off the bat, rather than this, hey, look, you know, we're going to keep you in the, you know, the old mushroom analogy, you know, we're going to keep you in the dark and feed you shit. Yeah. It's no good, because these things is like, kids are smart. They are very, very, very smart.
Yeah, yeah. And even if they're not consciously aware of what's going on, they are subconsciously, and later on in life they start to go, and I know what that meant now. Or
see, like if I was talking to you as a foster carer, you know, and I was like, what would I tell a kid that was in foster care? But like, find something that you really like doing. Yeah. Right. So, whatever that may be, like, right, see however you've got into foster care. Yeah. Right. It might have been your decisions and your choices. Well, you've got the power. You had the power to choose those. Also gives you the power to choose other ones. Yeah. Right. And if you want to choose other ones, then you can do it. But the first thing, all you need to do is accept that you've got the power to choose. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if you got here and it was someone else's doing, right, then that's their thing, not yours. Right. So you don't get to carry their bags. Yeah. That's on them, not on you. Right. So don't carry that, Kate. Don't carry that, because it's not for you to carry. Yeah. So let's focus on what you're good at. Whatever that may be, flying paper aeroplanes, or you know, running away like Bear Grylls, or sneaking on the train, or whatever your thing is, right? Let's build something on it. Yeah. And develop it. Right.
And I would love someone to say that to me. That's everything you've said so far. It's like, and there will be foster carers who say that and do that, but there's also a lot who don't. And everything you've just said then, like, it was making me feel like, just a few minutes ago, I was feeling quite emotional, because I was thinking, I was going back to the point and imagine you saying that to me then. So like, I'm not sitting here now as me, I'm sitting here and you saying that to me. That would have changed so many things in how I acted and how I, you know, probably wouldn't have ran away. Or
what did it make? Like, what did you feel? What was the thing that you thought that would have been meaningful? What was it that was going on?
When you were saying before about that, this is your home. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. This is not like it was. This is not like, you know, I'm still here. We can go and we can do these things together. We can. Yeah, you're not gonna run away, come back, and then that's it. You're gone. It's like you can run away 50 times, and every time I'm gonna be here, the door open. With your bed, your food, and a hug, just to say, no matter how much you try to leave me, I'm not going to leave you. And that would be so powerful to a lot of people, because, yeah, I'll say that again, no matter how much you want to leave, I will never leave you. If someone had said that to me, you know, I think it would have made a massive difference.
Train ticket to the hills isn't looking as promising as it once was, when you're like, that sounds all right.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy, this guy.
It's all right.
Yeah.
And you know, you think at the basic level is that a sense of belonging or a sense of purpose is that you've got a path. Excuse me. you've got a sense of belonging, right? And when you feel that you've been ejected out of something, or somewhere, you feel like you don't belong anywhere or anything.
Yeah.
And the sense that someone's saying, hey, like, you know, I know it's rough, but you belong here.
Yeah.
You can go. That's up to you. But you can come here.
Yeah.
This is your place, because I know that it's been rough, but this is your place, right? And this is where you can call home for us, you know, until we can get you, until you can go and make your own home.
Yeah.
Then you can call this place home. But just imagine the security that would give.
Yeah, definitely.
Just that sense of, you know, I don't need to run away. Or do I want to run away? Because you could, but you'd maybe be like, well, I don't know. And this is where, you know, you jump in with the report, you'd be like, right, what is it you do? Like, how, like, what do you do? Like, how do you get food? And, you know, what do you mean? How did you wash? And like, do you take a toothbrush? And you would ask these questions, and you would start to get in each other's wavelength. Yeah. And then that develops a relationship, a bond. And that bond is like, you want to go out one day and you can show me? Like, come on, we'll go jump in the tree. Show me where you went so we can have a look. Like, what do you do? Show me how to get water or catch a fish or how to cross a stream. Yeah. Or how did you make a shelter? That sounds cool. Yeah, yeah. You know, imagine going down that at 10, 12. Yeah. Yeah, it would have been such a different approach. And I think because I suppose the biggest thing that I felt and probably a lot of other people have felt too is you feel so not unloved, unlovable. So that, like, I must be that unlovable to my own parents, to the people who are supposed to love me the most in the world, that they would allow what happened to happen, and then I'm gone, and they're not coming to, you know, get me back. You know, if I'm not a parent, but if someone took my kids away, I'd move heaven and earth to try and get them. And you feel so unlovable. So even when people are trying to show you love, and they're just trying to show you some worth, and they are treating you with you know, care, you're like, nah, I've already been told that. I've already been shown that I'm the lowest of the low because my own parents don't want me. And that's again another avenue where, you know, if you were thinking about, you know, 10-year-old Nathan, you'd be saying, look, kid, you might feel unlovable, right? But that's not the case. Your mum's made some choices that are difficult, it's led her down the path, you know what she's been through. Yeah. Right. And that's making her do these decisions. She's not thinking straight. It's not that you're unlovable, it's just that she isn't thinking right. Yeah, exactly. Right, so you are lovable, but it's just that your mum's, the person that you want love from, is on a bad path. Yeah. I know that isn't great to hear, but it's what it is. Yeah, it's true. I think it is a book called Chasing the Scream about addiction. That someone recommended me to read, and it was a question they said to me one day, and it's helped me because I don't have a relationship with my mum, but I finally feel like I understand now, and almost I can forgive, and it's really hard to forgive because of all the things that happened to me. But this book, basically, someone asked me a question. It was, did you ever wonder why she did what she did? Have you ever, like, stopped to think, not about you, not about what happened to you, but why that person became what they became? Because obviously once they become that, everything else is an effect of that. They're not, like you say, they're not in control anymore. It's not them. And I was like, no, I've never actually thought about that. Why? What happened? Yeah, what happened to her to make her there? Who knows what happened to her? Was she in a family exactly the same, but she didn't get took into foster care and she didn't survive it and she became what she became? And I started to ask questions and start to have a bit more of an understanding, which is really difficult to do because there's almost a lot of hate there, you know, being unloved and feeling that way. You're going through the transition because the very first thing you feel, right, in any situation is that something happens, right? The feeling that comes up first, especially if it's something like this, is resentment. Yeah. That's number one, right? But there's only three outcomes. It's either something's there to teach you or it's a gift, but you need to go over resentment. Yeah. Right? And when you transition into the second or the third, what happened is you're talking about moving from I don't want to figure this out, and how can I possibly ever think about her? Look at what she's done to me. And then it's, wait now, you start to think you're shifting your perspective, because you're learning something. You're learning about perspective and how to ask the right questions and how to handle resentment. So you're picking up all the lessons going through that.
Yeah. And
but it's hard. How hard is it?
It's so hard. Yeah, you become I became very hateful. Yeah. Not a very nice person to the world.
Is your character? That was your...
I became very, like, not a nice person. I didn't think there was no good in the world. And I realised that I really like this quote. Sometimes when you're in the dark and there's no light to be found, you must be the light. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we can look for the light, and there might be a little small light in the distance. Sometimes there's none, but you have to become the light in that darkness. And that's what I felt about being unloved. I was in a prison of, being unloved and not wanted. So as I got older, I realised that, especially after hearing that quote, I can become the love that is missing from this whole situation. And the only way I can do that is to not be hateful and not be resentful and not be nasty to the world and not see the bad and just look for the good. And when you start looking for the good, you'll see it everywhere. If you're only looking for the bad stuff, you'll see all the bad stuff. Mm-hmm. And I know that's difficult because life's hard, and we have to remind ourselves daily that, be positive, be grateful for what you've got. We're still here. We've still got lots of luxuries. I'm healthy. And some days you forget. You get up and you're doing your daily life and you just completely forget that stuff. And you can be a bit negative, a bit angry, a bit this, a bit that. That's okay. But I just try to remind myself of that and say, in a world full of dark, be the light. In a world full of, no love, be the love to people, and be that person who is nice, and because you don't know what someone's going through, and it takes the one wrong thing, like the Scotch egg incident on that bridge. It takes that one wrong thing to be said or not be said. You never know what someone's going to do.
So you were going through foster care. I'm going to come back to that because there's something really cool that you mentioned, but we'll see if we can run through the timeline, because I think what's happened here is, to get to the point where you get there, you would have had to change your state. Mm-hmm. And something normally, unless you do a lot of deep work in terms of you go and look for a way to change your state, something happens that makes you change your state.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to that, because I think something must have happened there where you thought, I need to become the light, because you don't just get there. You need something to shock.
Yeah.
You need a shock that causes it. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind, because I think I might be coming later. You were in foster care, and do you remember how many foster carers you...
It was over 10. 10. Can't remember.
So was that 10 escapes? You ran away at least 10 times?
Never ran away from the first one.
Right, okay. Yeah. So Debbie's only clean.
Yeah, she's got
clean of the check mark for the escape.
Yeah, everyone else
off.
Yeah.
What so you were in there from 8 through to...
Till I was 16.
Right.
So the last time I ran away, funnily enough, was to Wales, was this time I went to this is abandoned farm. I've always wanted it. It is a dream. It's a dream I've had for years, and I lost the dream, and recently I've started to sort of get it back. There's an abandoned farm at the back of Betsy Code, ruins. That's where I used to camp. So I used to go up into the hills and camp there. And I've always wanted to get that land, rebuild it, and make it a place where people can run away to. So when I ran away, there was no one there for me. So I've always wanted to do that. But this time I went there, it was the first time in my life, which was probably an important moment for me, because I didn't realise that I was probably going to have really bad mental health problems as an adult. This is probably the first sign, I think.
This is the last time you ran away?
The last time I ran away to Wales.
What age were you?
I was about 12, I think.
12,
yeah.
Right.
And I didn't want to go back. I remember feeling so tired, not just in my body, but in my mind. And I'd been there for a while, and I'd ran out of my food and the usual routine of going and getting caught at the train station. I was like, am I going to keep doing this over and over again? So I went down to the river. If you've been to Betty Code, you'll know what I'm on about. The bridge, people jump off it. It looks massive. When I was that young, it looked massive, you know. And in my mind, I was like, I just want it to stop. I just want everything to stop. I don't want to have to go back and deal with all of the stuff that I'm dealing with. And I just had this feeling of like, I just want to just jump in, and then I'll be gone. I won't come back. And
is it ever dangerous? Is it a case of if you jumped in, there was like danger to your life?
That's what I was. Yeah, that's.
I know that's what you were thinking, but I mean, is this river like you were talking about?
No,
like you're going off the end of Niagara Falls, or
no? Now I'm an adult. I'm like, you know, I've jumped off the bridge into the water in the summer, but then it was these big rapids. If you jumped into the rapid, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah,
and
you're going to get a fright, and you're going to be sore.
You're going to get really hurt if you jump into the where the rocks are and stuff, which was where I was standing.
Like, see, it's going to be a rough road.
Yeah,
if you jump in.
Yeah,
and you're thinking, like, I've had enough.
Yeah, and I was also starving. So like, the two main feelings was I'm done, I've had enough, but I'm hungry. I'm so hungry. And this guy pops his head over the bridge. This homeless looking guy. I'd love to find this guy, but he pops his head over the bridge and he shouts, "You all right?" And then I was like, looking up, and I was like, he disappeared by the time I'd sort of caught a glance of him. And so in my head, I'm like, seeing things. So then look back at the river, and a couple of minutes go by, and he's walked down and round, and he's standing there next to me. And he opens this tinfoil package out of his bag. He's got 2 Scotch eggs, and two like the giant Scotch eggs, and takes one out, bites into his one, and then just goes like that. You want one? And straight away, like, my instincts are like, yeah, bang, took it, ate it, took a bite out of it, and didn't even say thanks to him. Always felt really bad, but didn't even say thanks to him. Just started eating it, and he just walked off. And I remember that one thing, I weren't thinking about jumping in anymore. I was just enjoying this amazing Scotch egg because I was like so hungry. And then I turned around and went home, and that was the last time I went. Like, I ran away to that place and never went back there again until I was an adult. Why
did you think at that point you were going to have bad mental health?
I didn't think then. Looking back now on my life, that's like the first sign for me.
What was the sign? That you were looking at the river thinking about ending it? Well, I know that you're already fixable. You know why? Because you took the egg.
Yeah.
I knew that there's hope in there.
Yeah. That's it. It wasn't like I'm going to, like, today, I'm going to do this to myself. It was like, I could. It was starting to test the waters.
Well, I already know that you'll pick the right choice when it push comes to shove, because you took the egg and never jumped.
Yeah.
Because you I don't know if you know that, but intuitively you're like, oh, you'll take the opportunity, you'll grab the olive branch, you'll be like, you'll go towards it.
Yeah, I don't want to do this.
That's a really good sign.
So I didn't run away again to Wales after that, and I went back, and that's when
So is this place still abandoned?
Yeah, it's still there.
Can we buy it?
I'd love to. Like, I've just never. It was a dream that I had, and then as you get into older life and you know, adulthood hits you, and
is it notorious for people running away to there?
Say again.
Is it notorious for people running away?
No, I don't know I don't know. I just know that's where I went because there was no one there.
But it's like, so if you set up a beacon for people that are like, I need to run away, and that you want to be like the sort of sanctuary.
Yeah.
Of, like, are they going to be like, yeah, I know how to get there?
Yeah, you can get there. It's accessible.
Right.
And obviously it'd be a place where it'd be advertised. It'd be like, if you feel like you want to run away and not, you know, you've got nowhere to go and you've got no hope and you've got no one who's going to have a conversation with you or care for you, you can come here. You can stay for a night, a couple of nights. There's no questions. You can just, and I think that would be so powerful for people's lives because, you know, there's somewhere to go, you know, and that's what I always felt like. I was running away, but I didn't know where I was running away to. And then that place, that little abandoned farm.
It's because you don't feel like you've got home.
Yeah.
Where home is, that you know, you feel unloved.
Yeah.
Where home is you feel forced. So you just feel in a whirlwind, a lot lost, and you don't have a place that you go, I know where home is.
Until that farm. That's when that place was when the first time in my life I felt like, because when I'd ran away before, I'd go different places. And then when I went there for the first time, I went back and I went back again. And I was like, I like this place. I feel comfortable here. I leave stuff here. I can hide stuff and I come back. And so, yeah, that became a place of like giving me a feeling of home. And I'd want to give that to other people. So the place itself, it holds a lot of significance because of where it is. But even if you weren't able to do it there, somewhere where people can go and, they knock on the door, gets opened. That's it. It's not knocking and there's no answer.
I think I said to you, if I was in your shoes, I'd have been fucked. I don't like eggs. I'd have just jumped. Given the choice between eating a Scotch egg and jumping out, I'd have jumped into the rocks. But as a list, man, I really appreciate the offer, but I'm off.
Yeah.
See, for me, I would say to like the young kids, to jump in the river, have a jump, maybe not on the rocks, somewhere we can grab them.
Yeah.
I'd take it and be like, right, wasn't a very good choice, that one, was it? Well, we're going to heat you up over the fire. You want to talk about this?
Yeah.
You're going to be like, right, look, what are we doing?
It's the thing, rationality goes out the window a lot of the time, and obviously
you need a shock. You need something that goes, and that hitting that water and going, oh, I don't think I want to be here.
Yeah, well, they say, don't they, that people, is it the San Francisco Bridge or a bridge in America? The people who've jumped off that, loads of people have jumped off it and obviously died, but there's been a percentage of people who've jumped off it and lived. Yep. And every person they've asked them, what did you feel when you jumped? And the very first thing that they say is, like, no, shouldn't have done that. The instant regret. They're almost trying to stop myself, you're already gone. And I don't think there's anyone out there who hasn't had it when they've done those things, or they go to do those things.
It's because they think that that's what they want, and then when they get close or do it or whatever it is, the particular thing, be it jumping a river, I don't think there's much coming back for jumping off a bridge other than you're very lucky and you survive.
Yeah.
Is when if you do jump in the river, you go, right, I now know from experience that I don't want to be there.
Yeah,
What I thought I would get out of that and what I got out of it are two very different things. Yeah. So now that goes in the experience column where you're like, whoa, whoa, that cold. Like if I was miserable before, I'm way more miserable now, and fuck all is washed away apart from my dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you look a bit silly, don't you?
And then you go, right, what now?
Yeah, didn't solve any problems.
No.
But when I came back, that's when I started getting involved into the gym. So it's 14 now. Started getting involved in, walked into a gym, this new thing, this cage fighting, all these big men, and I went down to start training, and the guys in there were like these hard men, big hard men, and for the first time, I got treated like an adult, but they also cared for me like I was a kid. So they were treating me like I was one of them, but at the same time, they knew I was 14, and it was like, they were looking after me as a collective. The gym was just like, didn't have to pay to train, or they'd buy me lunch, they'd just look after me. And that was like one of the biggest turning points in my life, because it got me into something that had direction, that I was good at, that gave me a purpose. It made me feel valued. It made me feel like I'm really good at something.
What did you, looking back, what did it feel like about the guys showing you a bit of care and attention?
Initially felt really like just relieving and really good.
Did it feel unusual or unfamiliar?
Yeah. I didn't.
At the start, did you go, I don't
questioned it.
Did you have suspicions about it?
Like, why are these people doing these things? Mm-hmm. And I was very suspicious, but then quite quickly I was like, no, they're not bothered. Like, there's nothing in it for them. I've seen parts of their lives now. I've seen who they are, that with their families. There's nothing in it for them, other than just being nice and helping someone who clearly they could see needed help. But yeah, I went down to that gym because not only was I having all the stuff going on in life at home, then into care, I was getting severely bullied in school by all of the other kids, like to the point where I was hiding in school.
What were you getting bullied for?
just like, because I was known as like the smackheads kid and the kid who's in care, and they just used to do horrible stuff. And I was in quite a rough school. You know, they'd throw things at me. They tied me to a tree. Just loads of really bad stuff. And they obviously, they say kids being kids. It's such a weird thing, because I've seen some of these guys now as adults. I've even had someone speak to me and go, "Oh, can I come down and train and come to the gym, whatever?" And I've had to be really like forgiving, because obviously it doesn't excuse what they did. They don't know what I was going through, and at the time they probably thought it was just a laugh. Doesn't excuse it in any way. But I was getting severely bullied in school, so I joined the gym because I was like, I'm gonna join the gym and learn to fight. And then when I know how to fight, they try and bully me anymore, I'm gonna destroy every one of them. And I was in fights every week because I was getting bullied, but I'd still try and fight back. I'd always try and fight back, even though I'd never win. And what was crazy was I joined the gym. I did about a year and become like a superstar kid. Like, people were like, he's going to be in the UFC, he's going to be, everyone was like, this kid's amazing. Loads of pressure though that I don't know what's happening being put on me.
You felt that, or
didn't know it was happening. So I never had a fight after that. So I was getting in fights all the time, getting bullied. Joined the gym with the intention of going and fighting with all these people. I've never had a single fight outside the gym since I was 14. Even though the purpose of joining was to go and beat them up.
What do you think changed?
I realised that I don't need to fight. I've got a bigger fight than them, which was myself.
Why did they detect that you shouldn't be bullied?
I think it was just the confidence I had, and they'd started hearing. And then the next thing, I'm in school on a Friday. On Saturday night, I'm fighting in a cage, and then they're like, "Oh, this person can they can say stuff to me," which they still did, and I just ignored them. But they stopped hitting me. They stopped coming up to me, and I was like, so I'm gaining a bit of respect for what I'm doing. It got too much. I went too far over. The pressure got too much. I wasn't losing. Everyone was putting so much pressure on me. I thought that the way I'm earning respect now is to be this person who can fight and beat people. So I was going too hard and training on people. When I could, I was like, if I can beat him up, I'm going to beat him up. It's not what you do. And I went overboard with it. And it got to the point where there was that much pressure on me being the next big thing in the world, in the sport, that it just crumbled my mind, and I couldn't compete anymore. I was competing all the time with no fear, didn't care about anything, wasn't afraid of anything, to the point where I knew something was wrong because I faked an injury. So I got a fight lined up, and I faked an injury. I was like, oh, I've hurt my knee.
What age were you? So
this was 15, 16, 17. I was doing MMA, Thai boxing, fighting all different rule sets, some pro rule sets, some amateur rule sets because I was a kid, some pro rule sets because you could fight, if you fought a man, you could fight in Thai, you could fight pro rule sets, and just fighting wherever I could, whenever I could.
So 18, what happened when you were 18? You faked injury? So
when I was getting to like an adult, so what happened was I left at 16, I left and I was like, I'm done with this. The pressure's getting to me. I need to...
Left the gym?
Yeah, I need to run away again. And
Did you go back to Wales?
No, I went somewhere else.
Did you go back to the river?
Yeah. So I ended up joining the Marines. So I was like, I've got
out the frying pan into the fire.
I've got an excuse. I know what I can do. I need to join the Marines. And went and joined the Marines. Was great at it. I'd been homeless, I'd been living in woods. I was the youngest person out of 50 men, and I was the fittest, one of the strongest, one of the most switched on. I was, doing so good in there. And then I got to the very end of training, like 28 weeks in, where's the last chance you're allowed to leave before you're in for 4 years. I had like 5 weeks left. And I was like, yeah, I'm gone. I'm going to go. Don't know why. I feel like there's a very prevalent thing over my life of like self-sabotage. I'm doing well at something and I go, no, I can't, I need to ruin this. And I was like, I'm going to go back and fight. So in my head I was like, I'm going to go back and fight. I can do it. I've just ran away here. I'm going to go back. So I left the Marines, didn't pass out, just like, no, I'm gone. This is my opportunity. If I don't do this now, I'm going to be stuck for 4 years. Left, went back, carried on fighting. Then I realised that I've made a massive mistake. I realised that pressure's still there. That's when I was starting to fake injuries, make excuses. So then I was like, well, I'm not a Marine. I'm not going to be a fighter. What am I going to be? And then for a good few years then, probably, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, I went into like normal work, like normal jobs and stuff, and cycled from going back to fighting to not, going back to fighting to not, job, fighting.
Were you getting paid to fight?
Some ones, some not. It was just I was never gonna get there with the mind I had. And yeah, I don't think it was what I was meant to be doing. I do believe that now. But yeah, through that time, everything was like a whirlwind. And before I went in the Marines, and I was like competing, and it was probably one of the toughest parts of my life because I felt really trapped, like where like I don't know what to do, and I've got no options now. So I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go.
Why did you fear staying in the Commandos for 4 years? Was it Commandos?
Yeah, the Royal Marine Commandos. Yeah, just because in my head I had it that like I could get in the UFC, and that's what I should have been doing. And I've ran away, and this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, even though I'm good at it. Right. I shouldn't be here. And again, running away, isn't it? I ran away from fighting.
What were you running? What do you feel that you run away from?
I don't know. I felt like it's probably...
It's just imagine that you're there. Put yourself back to, you're in what one stands out to you the most, where you go, what am I running away from?
Maybe it's going to sound weird, but maybe the failure of success, the feeling. So I'm not afraid of failing. I was probably afraid of succeeding.
What made you afraid of succeeding? Is it odds of your self-value?
Maybe, yeah. Deep down, it was like I might be able to do it, but it doesn't mean I'm where.
If I'm worth something, everybody's going to find out I'm a fraud because I'm worth nothing.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, maybe I just didn't feel like I can do that. But
let me prove it. At the 11th hour, fuck, I'm not going to do this because you'll know that I'm worth nothing.
Yeah,
because that's how I feel.
Yeah,
that sound about right.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. But again, the positives is that at that time in my life, I met my best friend, who's like.
What's your relationships like? Did you have any friends?
So I didn't have no one. Pretty much, I had mates in the gym.
Yeah.
Up until I met my best mate.
What age is this at?
So this is around 15. This is before I've gone, and he came into the gym to like, I want to start doing some training, and he said, can you show me a few little things? And I didn't know much myself. Like I was just fighting. Like I didn't know, like I wasn't like a coach. So I was showing him little bits of what I knew. And then he was taking me for lunch every day. And then he lived just down the road from where I was in a foster placement. And he saw, it was like for the first time in my life, someone saw that my life wasn't in what was happening shouldn't be happening. With my fighting, with my mental health, with everything. And he stopped I met his little boy who's 3, who's like a man now. Beats me up. He's like, it's crazy to see a little kid to go to a man now. He's just an animal. But I met his little boy, him and his wife, and it was like he went, this isn't right. And he went, and I was like, well, what do I do? Literally, this was the conversation.
When you're 15?
Yeah, he was like, your life's not right. He was like, this is not, you shouldn't be getting treated like this. You shouldn't be like... And I was like,
treated like what?
Just like at some points, like a prize horse in many ways for me competition stuff, and then everything else that he'd learned about like where I'd come from, and he's had a tough life too, and for the first time ever in my life, I was like, well, I always asked the question, well, what am I supposed to do other than just survive and keep going? And he went, you can just come with me. And I was like, what, no, what do you mean? He was like, right now, you can come with me right now. Come to my house. I've got a couch. I've got a spare room. Just live with me. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And it was the first point in my life that I felt relieved. I was like someone was loving me, even if I didn't present them with anything beneficial. They were just loving me because, for me.
So what age is he? You're 15.
He just left the army. So he was 20, he's 5 years older than me. So he was turned 21. He'd been to young, joined the army, got married, had a kid, went to Afghan, all by the time he was 20. And then he got injured in the training exercise. So he was actually at home, having sort of time off from the army, but he was leaving. That's how I ended up meeting him. And he was like, yeah, it was like he just picked me up and went, none of this anymore. And obviously I still had all of the trauma, the scars, the battle wounds from everything that had happened in my life. And then he was then a singular constant for me in my life that, like, I started to open up to him about things I'd never talked to anyone about. Still loved me. Like, I struggled so much with telling people who I care about and who care about me, opening up to them, because I felt like once I told them, they're going to be ashamed. They're going to be like, that happened to you, or you've been through that, and they would somehow like
Did you feel like dirty or embarrassed or something?
Dirty, and like it would disgust them, and it was my biggest fear.
What about your mum, or
about the abuse, about all of the stuff that had happened to me? I felt like if I
just the abuse before you went into foster care.
I felt like if it's been so hard to find people, and it's took me so many years to be able to feel loved and to love.
Yeah.
How do I tell these people these things? Because I genuinely believe that when I tell them, they're going to be disgusted, and they're going to be, I don't want that darkness around me or in my life. And I can guarantee anyone who's listening, if you've got something to say to someone who loves you, truly loves you, that will not be the reaction. The reaction will just be the same as it was. They still love you, and it's okay.
They love you, know what happened to you.
Exactly, yeah. And I didn't tell people who I'm very close to for years. Couldn't tell them, couldn't say anything to them, couldn't say anything to anyone. But yeah, he's been like such a big part in keeping me sort of on track, and he's obviously had to deal with, because we're best mates, and I'm a pain in the ass to him because he's had to deal with a lot of my crap. But like we were saying earlier about the foster carer who says, no matter how many times you leave, I'm never leaving you. That's similar to what he's been like. No matter what I do, whether I'm a pain in the ass to him or not, he's not going to leave me. And that's like, I'm glad that I found him in life, and they're my family. So I then, with him in my life, and obviously then I have other people who meet my family, and I started going through this phase of like jobs, back to fighting, not knowing where I was going, just a circle of like going from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, and slowly but surely not realising that this wasn't right. I haven't dealt with it. I haven't, understood what's going on, but something's ticking, and it's going to explode. And then it took me right up to the point of, I'd gain weight. I was like, I got that fat, and then I'd lose weight, and then I'd back in shape, and just real bad sort of big signs that I didn't know were signs. And then that led to one night I went home and I was sitting on the couch, and then the next thing I remember, I was on a bridge.
What age are you at this point?
So this was so my walk was 2 years ago. So it was about 6 months before that. So about 2.5 years ago. 2 years.
What age are you now?
I'm 30 now.
So you'd have been 28. Right, so what's happened? Right, this guy's got you at 15.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so 15 to 28. Right? Is it that cycle? Like, is it you on his couch in the gym, faking injuries? You've done the Marines, then you've come out, and then like what's happened between then and you're on the bridge?
I get to 18, 19.
Yep.
He's helped me massively, come and plucked me out of that, but I've still got these mental problems that, you know, I can't cope with or know I've even got. I left the Marines. He got me a job. Brilliant job. I was a dog handler, high paid job, doing loads of work though. I was doing like 6 night shifts a week every week.
Dog handler?
Yeah, I was doing dog handling. He got me a dog.
For the military?
No, for a private security company.
Right.
He trained me and the dog because he was like, he's one of the best dog trainers in the country.
That's cool.
He was in the military. That's what he did in Afghan with the dogs. So he was like, you're not doing nothing. You've left. He's always been like that. He's like my brother, but also a bit like a dad sometimes, even though he's more like my brother. And he was like, you've left the Marines. You're not fighting now. What are you doing? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know. And he'd be like, right, I've just started as a manager at this company. We've got a little puppy there. I'll train you up as a dog handler with the puppy. It'll grow up. It can move in with you tomorrow. Get your driving license. Got me all sorted. Got a job. Working my job for 3 or 4 years. Started to hate it because I was just working so much all the time. 12-hour shifts, night shifts. Getting all the money, spending all the money. Getting all the money, spending all the money. You know, just not doing the right things. I then left that job. So I'm like I'm 23, 24 now. Started doing my own thing, which was like my own dog stuff. So like dog walking and, you know, just I need to make money. So I was like, I know what I'll do. I'll walk dogs. Didn't work out. Wanted to do food. Love cooking food. I'll start a food and just starting things, not succeeding at them, not really even wanting to really do them, and surviving my way through, getting into loads of debt. Got into like 50,000 odd pounds worth of debt. I ended up going on an IVA, which was like the worst decision of my life. One of the worst decisions of my life. Didn't even know what it was, but I was like, that'll sort my problems out. Which actually ended yesterday, 6 years. I've not been able to get a phone contract. So that was a big thing 2 days ago, good celebration. But
good.
Massive mistake. But I got into so much debt because I was earning so much money at this job. And then I left the job, but I was still living like I was earning the money from the job. You know, getting cars on finance and just stupid decisions. And then I went into a period then of like, I was surviving then, earning enough money to pay the debts and earning enough money to live and not being happy with my life at all. Slowly but surely, waking up every day feeling like I can't get out of bed, terrible, like tiredness all the time, and just like, what's the point? I'm just literally waking up to go to sleep, and in between, I hate it. No matter how much people were there to love me, no matter how much people were there to bring light into my life, I was like, it's just all, I can't be bothered with it. And I stumbled my way through that for a couple of years, up until I felt like I'd finally got it sorted. Got a lovely house, car, family. I'm working at the gym, which is what I love doing, training, teaching, earning enough money to pay the bills, all that type of stuff. And it was like the moment I stopped surviving in life, everything hit me. So all my mental health issues that I didn't know that were building, they all just hit me because I weren't surviving anymore. So I had no like purpose to like get to the next day. I had everything I needed. And I remember just feeling like, wow, I feel really bad. And I was like, well, I've got everything. I've got a job. I've got money. I'm not in debt anymore. I'm good. Why do I feel worse than I've ever felt? And it was like the floodgates had opened, and I struggled with it for months until that night where I ended up sitting around, like I was saying before. And
so have you got, like, so you've got your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you got anybody else in your life? You've got his family. Who else you got in your life at this point?
I've got me wife.
Like, so your wife, you, your best pal, you've went through these jobs, you're living the traditional, what's supposed to be a great life.
Yeah, supposed to be it.
Supposed to be a great life. You've been in a constant, perpetual state of survival mode, self-sabotaging when it gets good because you have this sense of self-worth issue, then perpetually going through that at the woe of your poor best pal
Yeah.
who's watching you just sabotage yourself at every point. And what you're actually sabotaging, I don't know if you know this yet, but you're sabotaging yourself because you want to remain in the state that's known.
Yeah.
You want to be in survival mode. What's happened is at some point you've tipped over into putting yourself out of that survival mode, and the floodgates have come in of all this stuff, because the survival mode has kept those things that are in your mind switched off.
Yeah.
And when you've came out of survival mode, the switches went on and the waves came in.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself on a bridge.
Yeah. Find myself, can't even remember. I've had snippets of like memories of it now, but at the time, couldn't tell you how I got to that bridge. Just remember being on my couch.
How far away? So you went from the couch to the bridge, like where? How? Like, give me an idea.
It was about 10-minute walk from my house.
Right. Okay.
A railway bridge, so it was like a bridge up, railway tracks below, quite high. Like I'm, jumping off it. I'm not going to be around anymore. And it's the first time.
So you've upped your game for the maybe in the rocks.
Yeah.
We're doing it properly now.
Well, this is what was so scary. That wasn't even it wasn't even.
That's not even made a consideration.
No, I didn't even know I got there.
Right.
I truly came to my own consciousness. So if you like, standing on the edge of the bridge and I was breathing dead heavy.
What do you mean standing?
Standing on climbed up onto the thing, onto the wall. There's a wall.
Yeah.
Climbed up on the wall and standing there. And when I actually realised where I was standing there, and out of instinct, I patted my pockets. Because like when you don't know it, for some reason.
So you're standing on the bridge. Let me see if I've got this right. You're standing on the bridge.
Yeah.
You're at a height of which it is highly unlikely it's survivable if you fall over.
Yeah.
You've started breathing heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you think of is to pat your pockets.
Yeah, stupid.
Right, okay.
But
what were you feeling for?
My phone, my keys, like when I don't know why I did
you think you needed them on the way down?
I don't know. Yeah. Ring someone I have no idea. But if I hadn't patted my pockets, I don't know what would have happened. Because when I patted my pocket, I felt a little coin. And I don't know why, but the curiosity, what is that? Took the coin out. And it's probably the first time, if you like, whether people believe in God or they don't believe in God, it's the first time I in a sense, prayed to God. I went, God, if you're real, if I'm supposed to be here, heads, I'm going that way. Tails, I'm going that way. And flip the coin.
So heads is off the bridge and tails is off?
Yeah. And sometimes they say the most important steps in life are the ones forward, but they can also be ones where you step back. And I stepped back, and it allowed me to step forward 1,350 miles on what would be the challenge I did after that. But I got down. Did you have anything else on you other than your 10 pence? No, it's
no phone, no keys.
Yeah, sorry. I remember feeling like so ashamed.
Ashamed?
Yeah. Like I'm going to have to go back and tell people.
You've come up, right? So put me there, right? You're on the bridge. Check your pockets. Pull out a coin.
Yeah.
You ask God, look, I'm going to flip this coin. Let me know.
Mm-hmm.
You have a look and it tells you take that step off.
Yeah.
What's next?
I think about I need help. And to get help.
What's coming up here? What are you feeling?
I knew I needed to get help, but to do that, I knew I needed to go home and tell the people what had happened and where it just was. And the thought of the last memory that they would have had of me would have been not knowing anything. They would have just been not knowing, and that thought of like, of their final memory of me, if I had have jumped, would have just been the unknown. They would have been like, why, why didn't he speak, or why didn't he ask for help, and I didn't tell anyone. So I went home, gathered myself up, went home, didn't tell anyone, and it was the next day I was like, I need to tell people. So I told the people who I'm closest to, and I also then was like, I need to go and speak to a counsellor. I need to get actual help. And I rang the doctors to say this is what had happened, and they said it'll be 3 months. And I remember putting the phone down and going, how many people have made that phone call? Mm-hmm. It's took me 28 years to reach out for them to say 3 months time. And how many people have made that phone call, put the phone down and went, I just tried, and then they've went off. Mm-hmm. And, you know,
what do you feel for them?
For those people or for the doctor, the NHS?
No, the people.
I feel like
you're there, you know where they're at.
I feel like it's one of the greatest flaws in our humanity, and it's one of the saddest things that we allow to happen, because there are people dying every day that just need a hug or just need a conversation. And I know that doesn't solve everything, but that's the start of solving. And especially if they've took the courage to speak out about stuff that they haven't spoken to a soul about all their lives, that is showing such huge trust. And like, you know, it's putting the trust out there, and it's being slammed in people's faces. And for some reason I had this desire to try to change that then. And
this is after the call?
Yeah. I got private counselling because I know I needed it, and I had to pay for that. And, you know, people can't afford to pay for that. So the people who can't afford to pay for it, I don't know what they would do. But I got counselling. But very quickly after that, I had in my head that I'm going to go off. I need to do something. I need to get away from everything in life, and I need to go and get into my own mind and not distract anymore, and not survive, and not like truly fight my own mind and have a conversation with it and be like, you know, get to know me and push myself. And I don't know why I thought of it, but I was like, I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to go for a walk. That's all I said. And then I was like, it's not very hard, is it? Like, I need to push myself. And I was like, I'm going to walk the length of the country. And I was like, oh, it's not very hard. People have done that. And I'm not a barefoot enthusiast. You know, I had so many barefoot picture requests, but I'm not a barefoot enthusiast. I've never walked with no shoes on in my life. And for some reason, I was like, I'll walk the length of the country, but I'll do it with no shoes on. And that was it. Don't know how or why I came up with it. And then as I researched into it, there was a record, and then I was like, well, actually, maybe I can raise some money for charity. Maybe I can help people with the story of why I'm doing it. And one thing led to another, and I started doing everything I could then to promote what I was doing, so people would hopefully hear my story, and it would help them. If it helped one person, just one person, not have to feel the way I felt, it would have all been worth it.
Take me back there. You said something that was really interesting. I don't know if you noticed it, but you said when you were on the bridge and you felt ashamed, and you were thinking about the people that you were going to tell, and it was the last thought that they would have had would have been not knowing. Because what was really interesting about that was you were looking through their eyes, not through your own. Right, now think about the people that you mentioned that jump off the bridge that survive. I think they probably go through that same thought after they've shit the fucking bed and realise that, like, it's instant regret.
Yeah,
they survive, and then they would have had the feelings that you felt, and they've been lucky, and you were lucky.
Yeah,
and whether that's the grace of God or a higher power or something else or whatever, I don't think it matters what it is. It was there.
Yeah.
And they've had that same feeling.
Yeah.
And I think there's something in that for the people that maybe haven't realised that yet, that are considering it. They're considering that, hey, look, this is the way out.
Yeah. Well, the best way I can put it into words that I've said a few times, and it's probably been said before me, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. But all of the pain and suffering that you are feeling inside you, and you think, if I do this, it's going to end. It does end for you, but you pass it to the people who love you. And would you ever, knowing how bad you feel, know how much pain you are in, would you ever give that to the person you love most in the world? You wouldn't. And when I realised that, I was like, wow, everything I felt I would have just give to them.
Do you think it's the same amount or more?
I think even more, maybe.
I think it's amplified.
Yeah.
I've spoke to people that have had that. Somebody close to them's committed suicide, and it's unquestionably amplified.
Yeah.
Because it ends for them, it doesn't end for the loved ones. I mean, they can't all go off and commit suicide.
So
they can't go and end it, and it's like they question themselves. They say, "What have I missed? What could I have done? Why could they not tell me? Why did they not come and speak to me? I must have been a terrible whatever they are to that person. How could I not have not?" And they just constantly drive themselves into the ground.
Do you feel like you're doing them a favour? And like when you're not here, their lives will be better. It is completely the wrong. It's irrational. It's delusional. It's not. If you ask the rational person when they're not in that mindset, if we put it into a physical context, I'm gonna take you over there and I'm gonna torture you. Yeah, I'm gonna do all these horrendous things. I'm gonna torture you so you're in pain. Now you can either take that or pick the one person you love the most in the world, and they can take it instead. Most people, if they really love that person, they'd be like, bring it on, give me it, I'm going to take that pain. You would never give it to that person, the person who you love, and that is exactly what you're doing. Yep. You're not freeing them, you're not a chain that is around their necks. That's what I used to feel. I used to feel like I was this weight that I was hanging off the people, they were holding me up, but they're carrying me, and once I just let go, they'll be free, and it's not the case. They'll be heavier, and they'll be in more pain. And the one thing and it's not the right way, I've learned now, but the one thing early on I started to think to myself is, well, I'm not going to live for me, I can live for them. And that's what got me through that little period until I started.
Well, I mean, it's something that, I mean, I know what you're saying about it's not the right way, because what you're essentially expressing there, for people that maybe don't see what you're trying to say here, is what you're saying is, right, I don't feel worthy enough to be here, and I feel like I'm a burden to everyone that I know that love me, and I don't feel deserving of their love because I don't feel good enough. Yeah, that's what you're saying. And what you're saying there is, well, if I can't find it in myself to live for me, then I need to at least live for the people that love me, right? Regardless of how bonkers I think that they are for loving me. Yeah, right? Exactly. Right? Yeah. I think that they're bonkers for loving me. I don't know why they love me, because I feel unlovable, but for some reason they love me, and I'm going to live for them. Yeah. Right. And I know why that's the first step, even though it doesn't seem right, is that you find a reason, right? That's the first thing. And what you need to do is you need to start to love yourself. Yeah. Right. Exactly, you need to develop a way to go, right, why don't I try looking through their eyes and seeing what they see that they love that I can't see yet? What do they see? Because it seems that they can spot something that I've not spotted yet. Yeah.
And that was part of the journey.
Yeah. So, and you know what I mean? This is like,
definitely. That's exactly what you're saying is what I went through. I went from living for them, which was my reason early on after that experience. And I had now this walk that I was going to do. It was a challenge. It was a way of helping myself first and foremost, like in a selfish way. I was doing the walk just for me to try to find the depths of my own mind and the depths of my own limits, and show that I can achieve, and I can complete something. I'd never completed anything. All these things that I've done and did, never finished them, never completed them. And this was the first thing. I was like, I will die. People say it all the time, I'll die before I quit. I would have, because how much it meant. I would have went out on my shield rather than not come off that walk. And yeah, when I started training for that and doing that, I felt like my life had so much purpose. And then I started to see and feel and love myself more, like you're saying. Like I started to appreciate myself, and like actually I'm making a difference, and I have value, and I've, you know, I do mean something to people, rather than not believing them.
Imagine what that's like. I mean, imagine your whole life starving yourself for that.
Yeah.
Shutting that out. Right. Imagine just that initial feeling of self-worth just coming in and be like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, what was it like when that came in? You must have been like, wow.
I feel like that's what gave me a lot of the power and belief to do a lot of the things I was doing. Like, obviously the training was hard. I was doing so much more training than I'd ever done in my life, and stuff that I didn't think I could do. Like, I used to think running a marathon was hard. Like, and it is to a lot of people, but it just opened up so much. It opened up a bigger world than I even knew existed. And I learned so much on that walk, and, you know, people thought that I couldn't do it. Like, it's not, you know, something's going to go wrong, and there was many things that could have went wrong, and they didn't. And I think it was my destiny, if you like. Like, it was, you know, I could have, saying to you earlier, on the first day, I stepped over a farmer's fence and slit the top of my foot completely open. That was on the bottom of my foot. That would have been massively problematic for the next 1,340 miles.
A slight issue.
But it wasn't. It was on the top of my foot. Yep. And there was loads of little things like that where I was like, whoa, that was close. Yep. And it was never close enough. Yep. And I got my way all the way, you know, 60 days, 30 miles a day, carrying all my own kit, in my own mind, no music, no nothing, just me in my own mind, self-sufficient. And it was a journey that I'll never, ever forget. And it was the longest barefoot walk in the world. So it just gave me a sense of, after I'd completed it, it was like, I can achieve things, like I can do things, I can start and I can complete them. I don't have to get to nearly completing them and then run away from them and self-sabotage it. And it was just a great experience. And I thought, and this is where the big mistake was, that once I'd finished my walk, I was going to cross the line and get to Land's End, and my life would be, I haven't got any mental health problems now. And for 3 months after it was 3 months after, I was on a great high. But with big highs comes big lows, and I've kind of learned that I want to settle for this nice line in the middle. Don't want to be up here, don't want to be down there, because I genuinely thought I'd be cured from what I did, and I was just completely wrong. You know, I've still had many problems. I still have problems all of the time. Still struggle with my mental health. I still struggle with communicating with people, my relationships. I'm still self-sabotaging in many little ways. Might not be as bad as they was, but I'm not cured. But the difference between now and then is, I know I can set out on something now and complete it. So I know that I can fix these things. Might not be now, it might be 10 years.
To me, mental health is easy to fix. Right? Do you know why it's easy to fix? Because you like cooking, right?
Yeah.
Right, so mental health is like cooking. Okay, so if you have a problem with your result, there's two. If you were using a cooking analogy, right? There's only really two issues that you can have, right? The process in which you've applied, so order, for instance, or your ingredients, right? So if you wanted, for instance, a cake, and you're starting to use ingredients, things like steak and potatoes, you're not going to get a very good cake. Or if you had the perfect ingredients for a cake, but you put them in the wrong order, for instance, you're not going to get the right cake. So we work with systems, we operate in, if I do this and I do this and I do this, I get a result. So you notice a pattern, but the pattern requires the right things in the right order. Right? So a lot of the time when you piece together what someone's doing, it's like, how are you putting together the mixture? Like, what are you doing? Like, do you want a cake? Well, I've got steak and I've got potatoes and I'm cooking it on a campfire. Like, right, you're never going to get a cake. Like, you can be as motivated as you want, and you can try as hard as you want, and you can be as determined as you want. You've just not got the right bits. Right? Or you could say, well, You know, I'm trying to bake a cake and the oven's set at 50 degrees. You're like, right, you can put it all in the right order. Things never are going to happen. Right, so things need to be done in the right order and they need to have the right ingredients.
Yeah.
You look at that, you go, oh, it's simple.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because most people, myself included in this massively, routine. And the way I always describe it is you've got to take your medicine. So if I got diagnosed with a life-threatening disease today and the doctor was like, here's some tablets, you have to take these tablets every day. If you don't take your tablets, you're going to start to get ill and you're going to die. I'd take my tablets every day.
Yep.
And what I found is the key is find out what your medicines are and then take them every day. Because some people go, well, why do you do this and this and this every day? And it's like, well, if I don't take my medicine, I can't function correctly and I start going like this.
Yep.
So I might need to go for training. I might need to go and jump in the lake. I might need to, walk around the block, read a book, whatever your medicine is, play some music, listen to some music. We're all different, but identify them and then go, I need them. And I think that gives you routine. Stick to your routine. Because I always find that when I start to slip and I have like a bad few days or a bad few weeks, I look back and I go, I didn't stick to my routine there. I didn't that, I was a bit late getting up that morning and it's snowball effect. And it's not nice in the thought that, would I prefer not to be jumping into the freezing cold lake in the morning? Or sometimes I go at 3 a.m. and I'm floating in the lake and under the stars, which is amazing. But
that's cool.
Do I want to be putting myself in these not so great, like sometimes it's freezing cold and you're cold or I'm training, and I'd love to be completely perfect with my health and my mental health, where I didn't have to do all these things every day. But I feel that's what makes you stronger, and it's what gives you a purpose to aim towards improvement. Otherwise, if we were all perfect,
it'd be boring.
What would we do?
Well, the very nature of human beings is that we take things for granted.
Yeah.
And when we take things for granted and if everything was easy, we wouldn't appreciate them. So the more difficult something is, the more we appreciate it when we earn it.
Yeah.
Right. That's the idea. When you train, the harder you train, the better you get.
Yeah.
The more focused you get, the better your results. Right. But it's difficult to focus because there's lots of distractions, for instance.
Yeah.
The going that extra mile, like, it's difficult. You go and train in the gym, it's not the 5th, 6th, 7th rep, it's the 8th, 9th, 10th that you pushed, or that extra bit that you put on, or you went when you couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
The hardest weight in the gym is the front door. It's the heaviest weight of them all.
It is.
Right? If you've lifted the front door, you're already in an advantage.
Yeah.
And all these psychological little wins, it's not a big decision that makes you. It's a sequence of little decisions that you make the right one that accumulate up and have a cumulative effect that will determine your level, right? And this is what people are like, I need the hack, I need the pill, I need there must be like a shortcut. It's like, no, there's no shortcut. Here's how it works. There's untold amounts of successful people out there.
Yeah.
And you know what we do? We recognize patterns. Right, and that's what humans beings do. And you look at successful people, and they'll tell you, because they'll be like anyone that's had a great result in their life. They'll say, "Hey, look, I know where you're at. I remember how shit it was.
Yeah,
here's what I did. Here's my pattern." And people go, "Yeah, that seems like lots of little steps. What's the big one?
Yeah,
what's just the one that I need to do?" And it's like, no. There is a sequence of things. Like you said, there's your medicine analogy. Here is your medicine, right? It's like you started fighting, right? Did you know every hold, every move, every defense? No. What did you need to do?
Learn everything.
Yep. And was it hard?
Yeah.
Right. And how was there times where you thought, man, it can't be this hard, and then one day you go, it just clicks.
Yeah, and even when it clicked, like I've been doing grappling, fighting, but I just grapple now. So I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So it took me. It's one of the hardest sports in the world to get a black belt in. 14 years of fighting people every day on the mats. People trying to bend my arms off and choke my head off.
Yeah.
And for 15 years I've been doing it, and I'm at a high level with it now, but I still learn things all of the time.
And the thing is, the beauty of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is it's not just a physical sport. It's a mental problem-solving exercise.
Hugely, yeah.
And the beauty of the problem-solving exercise is somebody is trying to take the air out of your lungs whilst doing it.
Yeah,
Exactly, It is one of the finest examples of high-pressure problem-solving.
Yeah, because there's a consequence.
And you know what it does? You know what I like about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? There is no shame in tapping out and going again.
No.
Tap out, go again.
Yeah.
Learn, tap out, go again. Learn, tap out, go again, get better. Improve.
Yeah.
And there is no, like in our education system, failure is bad.
Yeah.
Right? Failure is bad. Don't learn off your neighbour.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it works in the outside world. It's, what can I learn from you? What can you teach me? How can you help me?
Yeah.
Show me what you're really good at that. What do you do? And then, hey, look, I'll fail and fail and fail and fail again until I get good at it.
Yeah, exactly. I've probably been submitted hundreds of thousands of times. Mm-hmm. I've submitted people hundreds of thousands of times. And that'll continue to happen.
Yep.
And it's like you say, it's only possible to be submitted through something that you have done wrong.
Yep.
A mistake that you've made.
Or someone's known something that you don't.
They've got not more knowledge than you.
Yep.
They can apply their skill set better than you.
And what can you do when they do something that you don't know?
You learn.
There you go.
I didn't know he was doing that. Oh, he's used that grip.
Yep.
And it's just, and I get asked it in the gym all the time by people, how can I get like really good really quick? And I was like, come in here for the next 10 years, every day for like 5 hours a day.
Yep.
And then they're like, what, you can't do that? And I was go, well, that's what we did.
Yep.
You want to get where we are. And it's a good what you said before, because there's people who are like Harry, who's my best mate. It's his gym. He's the head coach in there, and he's insanely good, way better than me. I started off better than him. I always try to wind him up and say, I used to beat you up when we first started. He didn't know nothing, and now he's just like, you know, I'm very good, but he's another level to me. So he's pretty much one of the only people in our gym, a couple of others, who can like beat me in a round. Yeah. Quite easily as well, which is just scary.
But this is the good thing. This is where you get this, right, failure isn't bad and defeat's not bad, but it's also going up against someone who's better than you. That's where you get better. Yeah,
it drives you to get to
because you've got a level to step up. You've got it's hard to beat them.
Yeah.
Right, so it's going to be difficult.
Yeah,
right? And you're going to need to get choked out, you're going to tap out, you're going to need to submit, you're going to, think that you've got it and then it be snatched, out of your hands, and you go, okay, I'm going to keep going and keep going and think of the resilience. See even if you just said, look, imagine you take someone that's in they've just got nothing. Mm. You put them in there and they just that resilience part.
Yeah.
And that's what you get from doing these things, to go into the resistance.
Yeah. And some people shy away from it. They get twisted up, never come back.
Yeah.
Some people that happens, then they're back there the next day, and then back there the next day. And it's like you said before about successful people. People want to get to, I suppose, where we are at black belt level, and they're like really down here. But you're literally being given a direction on how to do it. There's literally people saying, "This is how I did it."
Well, what people want, Nathan, is they don't look at you at the time that you come into the gym and go, how do I do it? What they do is they look at you 14 years later after the thousands and thousands of hours and go, how do I get good really quick? And you go, well, you start there and you go to there.
Yeah.
And it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of hard work, sweat, tears, discipline, showing up. Heaviest weight is the gym door, cleaning the mats, showing up, getting beat. Showing up, getting beat some more.
Injuries.
Tired,
I've
sore.
had everything snapped and popped, and I've been on crutch and back on the mat.
Back there.
And people showing up. And then they only wonder why they don't get there. And it's like, well, you answered your own question.
Yep.
Because you didn't
Think of the cake, right? What's your ingredients? Your ingredients is 10,000 hours, showing up 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Doing what it takes. Injury, pain, discomfort, being tapped out.
Yeah.
Learning humility, subordinating your ego, still showing up, learning from people that are better than you, getting beat by people that are half your weight, half your strength, right? Being humble enough to ask how they do it, learn from them, open your mind up. That's what it costs. You prepare, if you pay that, you're ready for it, you'll get it.
Yeah.
If you're not, then don't ask, because there's no shortcut.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's the thing, it's the beauty of like getting stories like this out, is you go, there is a way to do it, right? But what you're asking me is, how can I bypass all the hard work to get the result that you've got? You know?
Go to Tesco and buy a cake.
Yep. Like, you know, it's that's what I'm saying, is like, you can go and get a cake from a baker, but it's not your cake.
And you're not,
you don't appreciate it. You never put the work in.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest problem in society, isn't it? That everything's there's a lot of instant gratification out there now. Even with social media, it's instant.
Well, you look at even people that, you know, I've been very, very lucky to meet a lot of like extremely talented people, gifted people, successful people, however you want to label it. They're ordinary people that have done extraordinary things.
Yeah.
And the main thing, I was telling this to my middle son George, he's 11, he's got the bug for training in the gym, and I mean, he's committed. I mean, he must flex about 800 times a day before he like even gets his clothes on, bodybuilding videos and training and how they do this and how they do that. And the other day he said to me, he's like, Dad, how do I change my mindset? I was like, interesting question. Now, like we spoke about when we're talking about the foster care thing, Nathan, I'm like, right, I could go into a long-winded explanation about this, but my audience is an 11-year-old who is hardcore into this, and he's asked a question that I don't know where it's coming from. He's like, what do you mean by that? Like, what is it? What do you mean, how do I change my mindset? Where is it at? He's like, it's telling me to be normal. I'm like, okay, what's normal? That I should rest, and that I should get up a bit later, and that I shouldn't train as hard. I'm like, right, okay, that's fine. And what's the other side of that? That I should go hardcore, that I should get after it, that I should keep going. I'm like, right, okay. Right, we're going to make 2 columns. Right, so this column is, if you do the normal bit, what does that get you? It's like, how do you feel about the normal? What the suggestion is, which is get up later, don't train as hard, don't pursue your dreams. What do you get? Lazy. I don't really feel that good. I'm not that strong. Right, okay, good column. Like, what about if you do the other side? What's that column look like? He's like, well, I'll get gains. I'll get strong. I'll feel good. Like, I feel confident.
Yeah.
It says, here's how it works for you, man. It says there's a thing called your emotional mastery, right? And it's a triangle. Like, you ever seen the fire triangle?
Yeah.
Like, you'll know because you've been out in the woods. Yeah. Like, you need oxygen, you need fuel, and you need heat.
Yeah.
Right? Well, your emotions are like that. It says, so here's what happens in people's mind, and it's really way more simple than people realise. Yeah. But I says, you are so far ahead of the curve, wee man. Right? It took me, like, in my adult life to figure this out, and you're getting to know this secret at 11. It says, let me tell you about it. It says, whatever you focus on, your energy goes to. Like, wherever you put your focus. So we've just done a column. Your focus is on, what do you get on there? You get lazy and lethargic. How does that make you feel? I don't feel very good. It's like, so when you don't feel very good, what actions are you going to take? You're going to reach for the junk food. You can't be bothered. You give in to the inner voice that wants you to quit. Right, then what does that do? So we've went from your feels bad to the next part of the triangle, which is how do you, like, what are you going to do with that? What action are you going to take? Well, I'm going to be lazy. Let's go back to thoughts. What thoughts do you think when you've just been lazy? I don't really feel good about myself. I feel crap.
Yeah.
Right, and what's your next feeling? I feel even worse.
Yeah.
Right, and I was like, and I drew a spiral. I was like, there's a spiral going down. I was like, now there's an opposite, because there's always an opposite to things. And we've got your opposite in your column too. Yeah. Right, read it out to me. And he's like, right, what's your focus? Focus is on training and going hardcore. Like, how do you feel about that? I feel good. Right, what action do you take when you feel good? He's like, I'm up for it. And you can actually see the change in his body. Yeah. I was like, right, so see when you feel up for it and you've hit the gym and you feel great, what's your next thought? Next thought is, I'm proud of myself. I was like, how do you feel? Like, do you feel good about yourself? He's like, I do. Yeah. I was like, what's the next bit? So what's your feeling is you feel really good. What's your next bit about what you're doing? He's like, I'm going to get my kit ready for tomorrow. I'm going to think about what training I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to get all my stuff out. I'm going to set my alarm. I was like, right, good. What's your next thought? Yeah. He's like, I'm ready. And I'm like, there you go, and I drew the spiral up the way.
Yeah.
It says that is mastering your emotions, and it's all about what you focus on, you take yourself towards.
Yeah.
And that's why you want clarity.
Yeah.
And you look at what you're doing in jiu-jitsu, what you're describing is, I'm going to get better, I'm going to improve. I know, right, I feel good about getting beat because I've learned something.
Yeah.
Or I feel good because this person has noticed my mistake. So I can learn from that mistake. So I'm improving, that's good. I know it's painful, I know it's sore, but you're just going through the triangle and it's spiraling up the way.
Yeah.
Right? And you can do that in anything in your life.
Yeah, that's why it's anything. So you can, I think Joe Rogan who says it, why someone said, why do you train so hard? And he says, I train so hard so that when I get home and look at myself in the mirror, I can respect myself. And it's that respect's at the top of the triangle there, isn't he? He's trained hard. Now he respects himself for doing what he's done. And then, like you say, it just keeps going and going and going. But it's a good method to use, because I can, even with what I'm about to do with my next challenge, my challenge that I'm doing now is different to my life. My life is, I teach grappling and I grapple. I don't do anything else. You know, run every now and then, don't really lift weights. I just do grappling. And I can take those things out of that triangle now and put new things in and go, well, this is what I'm focusing on now, which is this challenge. Well, then I've got to do this. When I do that, it makes me feel like this. And then I've got to get and create a new triangle.
Well, here's the thing, right? Because you're going to love this. I want you to keep that triangle, right? I'll draw it out for you.
Yeah.
Right? You can keep it. Right? What I want you to do, right, is see when you notice somebody speaking.
Yeah.
I want you to look at the triangle, and what I want you to do is I want you to have two of them next to each other. Right? So it's going to be focus and thoughts, then it goes to feelings, then it goes to actions, then it goes back to focus and thoughts, right? And what I want you to do is we're going to put oxygen, fuel, heat, and you're going to notice when someone's trying to light a piece of wet wood. Yeah. Right? You're going to go, they're going to go, I don't know why, and you're going to go, I know why. Yeah. And you're going to see the spiral. Yeah. It doesn't matter how much you try and light it, it's not going to light.
Yeah. And it's good to recognise that for yourself as well, isn't it? When you're...
Well, this is the thing, is like, I know that was a bit of a tangent that went on, so my apologies. We'll get back to your story there, because what you were saying was, and where I was taking a little journey to get to was, you were saying that when you battle your mental health, and you still do, and you were looking to take out the volatility, the big swings. Yeah. Right. You were trying to get a more level swing. Now, there's two ways of looking at that, right? So you can either level it out, right, which you might do. And I'm not sure if you'll be comfortable with that, right? Because you might do that, and like a lot of things in your life, you're going, I fucking like the really high. Yeah. And what I've actually done, well, you know, you're 30 now. So now I'm 30. I've actually got really good at dealing with the low part. So I'm getting better at shifting the low and running the high and shifting the low, but I don't want to reduce the peak. Yeah. In fact, I want to push the peak and make higher highs and higher lows. So your graph doesn't go like this, right? It goes like this. Yeah, yeah. Right? Yeah, because exactly. The thing is you're always going to get the high and you're always going to get the low. But what kind of high and low do you want? Do you want a real high, a real low? So what happens with people that end up doing this, right? They never get anywhere. They have the high, they have the low, but the height is the same and the low is either the same low or lower. Yeah. And then they end up going, I don't know why, I just feel like I'm going around in circles. Well, you are, because you're doing the same thing. And you got other people who go, this is what they sound like. I just want an easy life. Yeah. I just want a peace. And what they do is they don't push as high, so they don't go as low. Yeah. But they still do this.
But slowly down.
Right. They still do this. But what the people that know and understand about there is going to be highs and there is going to be lows is what kind they want. What they do is let me push the higher than the last time, and let me catch the lower so it's higher than the last low. And then because you imagine that the wave height is the same, right? So you go up 50, you go down 50. Right. Well, the next time is you go down 40 and then you go up 60. Yeah. And you go down 30 and then you go up 70. What you're doing is the trajectory is you're pushing it higher all the time. Yeah. But you're actually adjusting the path so your path goes all the way up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that is either, you can do that. There's two things that give you a deep sense of fulfillment. Is either you're feeling that you're getting personal growth, you're growing within, or you're serving somebody else and they're seeing you doing the path and you're inspiring them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that be a good thing for a t-shirt, wouldn't it? Higher highs, higher lows.
Do not try and flatten out your life, because like who would want to go on a flat roller coaster?
Yeah, I suppose.
You know, you want an excitement, you know, and the excitement bit
Yeah.
is that you get the rush and how you like it's like Rocky. It's like how, you know, it's not about, you know, how hard you get hit. It's not about falling down. I can't remember what it is.
Okay.
You know the one I'm on about.
It's
It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and then bounce, forward. Keep coming, keep getting back up.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And keep going forward. And that's the thing is that don't try and avoid the hits. Just get really good at them.
Yeah, taking them.
And then if you fall, get right back up. It's like jiu-jitsu, you get tapped out, go again.
That's it.
My wee boy said to me, he's like, Dad, I'm still trying to process it. He's like, what should I do? I said, don't fucking process anything. Just get up and go again. Yeah. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Let's just keep going. I was like, keep going, adjust, adapt, adapt. But don't sit there and take no action. All your default mode is take action.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're in danger, unless there's danger to you or harm, take action. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Right? Because we adapt, we adjust, we know. We're like, hey, I know I'm improving because we learn, we try and spot how we can get better.
Yeah.
So never get into the Victor Mildray life. They end up 70 with one foot in the grave and all that.
Yeah.
We should definitely get that on a t-shirt, shouldn't we?
Higher highs, higher lows.
Go for higher highs and higher lows.
Yeah. I think just those words, because then people are like, what do you mean?
I think it'd be good.
Be like, mean this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people do that. They realise that they don't understand this.
Yeah.
So then, like me, they find out there's the high and there's the low.
Yeah.
Then they get to the point in their life where like, oh, I don't like that. So they go and try and keep it balanced. They think it's balance. And then there's people where they go, well, actually that balance is not good enough. That like mediocre line of not being extraordinary and being ordinary and like you say, just wanting the quiet life. It's like
surfers, they couldn't ride waves if there wasn't any surf. If it was all flat, what would they do?
Yeah.
Like their excitement is the danger of getting washed out, handling how to get washed out, how high can I get?
Yeah.
How long can I go on it? And that's a metaphor for life. It's like go and find the wave.
Yeah.
Right. Find your purpose. Find where your particular wave is. Right. Go and get thrown about like a bag of wet washing until you get good. Get up on your feet. Go again. Keep going. Keep going. Keep learning. Keep going. And then one day you go, whew, I'm getting not too bad at this.
Yeah.
And somebody comes along that's awesome at it.
Yeah.
You say, how are you doing it? They give you some tips. They give you some tricks. And you know what? You start to get good.
Yeah.
And somebody comes along that's a bag of bones and you pass the same tips on.
Yeah.
And that's life.
And that goes into what the most successful people have been saying for years, and I haven't listened not many people I think listen to this. You surround yourself with the people that you want to be like, or you want to, if you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people. If you want to be a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you're brand new, and not that you could do this, but if you could go and find a gym and they only have black belts, you're probably going to get a black belt, aren't you, if you train with those guys?
Yep.
You know, well, if I hang around with surfers and I can't surf, I'm probably going to get good at surfing.
Yeah. Hang around with better people, their habits will rub off on you.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Bad people, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Bad habits.
100%. So you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang around with the most.
Yeah.
So we done the Mount Mindset first meetup, which is Mount Mindset's a sort of metaphorical idea of like what it's like in your mind. So I wrote a really short story about Mount Mindset, and the idea is that there's a mountain, a mythical mountain that you try and climb, right? And the mountain, the idea of climbing to the top of the summit is that you can see all your goals and the dreams. So you get to the top and you can see everything that you ever wanted, and then you can pick from the mountain the direction you need to go because you can see it from the top.
Yeah.
The difficulty with this mountain is it's really hard to climb. Right? There's loads of trails and different ways up the mountain, but the mountain plays tricks with you to try and get you to base because it doesn't want you to get to the top.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways that it tries to trick you to get you back to the bottom. It'll talk to you. It'll tell you this isn't the right way. It'll tell you that this isn't your path. It'll tell you lots and lots of things to get you to the base.
Yeah.
But if you keep pushing and you persevere, you will get to the top. And the idea is when you get there, you'll be able to figure out where it is that you want to go.
Yeah.
But you need to go in and tough it up to get to the top of it.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to the first, a real mountain, ascended the mountain, and one of the guys that was coming down and says, I says, look, have you got like a hero? Have you got role models that you look to? And there's a quote that's going about that I think gets misconstrued, and it's the quote he regurgitated back was, comparison is the thief of joy, which means that if you compare yourselves to others, then you're basically stealing your joy and your happiness.
Yeah.
I says, well, what about heroes? What do you mean? I says, well, do you have heroes or people that have done great that you could admire? And it's not about comparing yourself to them, but what if there's somebody that you admire that you'd like to follow in their footsteps, or you'd like to follow the path that they were on, or you'd like to do some of the good that they've done? That's not comparing yourself to steal joy. That's giving yourself purpose and a path to work towards, or someone that you can emulate, or someone that you can learn from.
Yeah.
That isn't stealing joy. So be very, very careful when you say that. And I think what it means is that what they're saying is, if you're comparing someone that's at the top of their game and you're comparing your life there, it's going to steal your joy. Maybe that's the case because you aren't where they're at. But have you done what they're prepared to do? Have you took the steps that they've taken? And if you've not, then what about starting? And it switches it from, you're not comparing my life's shit and their life's great. What you're comparing is, how did they get there? And that's where you shift your focus. The focus is, how did they get there?
Yeah.
I bet they didn't just end up like that. They didn't just end up a black belt. They didn't walk 1,350 miles barefoot. How did they get there?
Yeah.
And you go, well, what did they start with?
Yeah. It's so noticeable because even with like at the moment that, the hardest geezer, he's just done the Project Africa around Africa, and I never knew nothing about him. Like many people that you see who do things, incredible things, and he did a podcast, and on the podcast he actually went, oh no, I did this, I ran this, I was the world's first this, I did this challenge, and he'd done like 7 or 8 things before anyone had even heard of what he was doing, and then he's now became a big personality because of what he's just done. But he didn't just start there and just, I'm going to run Africa tomorrow.
I just do one thing and that was him.
He'd done a load of things that had gone unnoticed. No one really cared about. He wasn't famous for them. He was doing them for his own causes and what he believed in. And then he's had his recognition for the amazing things he's done. Did you see Cameron Haynes' clip?
No. You know who Cameron Haynes is? Cam Haynes. It's so funny, Nathan. He's like, he can't be bothered. He's got an ultra to do. It's like 50k. He's like, he's not feeling it, right? And he's trying to talk himself around, using the tips and tricks. It's not about the low, how you deal with it, right? Even Cam Haynes is like, I'm just not. It's just not there. I've got this 50k. I can't be bothered. I'm sore. I've had a big week of training. He says, and a clip of the hardest geezer comes up, and he's like, this fucking guy, he's like peeing blood, diarrhea. The van's broke down. He's been fucking robbed, and he's like, I'm feeling a bit rough today. I'm gonna take it easy. Yeah. And the clip cuts to Russ, who's running, like with fucking goggles, swimming goggles through a sandstorm. Yeah. And he's like, I'm taking it easy today. I'm only doing 60k. He's like, this guy's running, taking it easy with swimming goggles in a sandstorm, and I'm bitching about doing 50k, and that was all he needed. Yeah. He's like, right, I'm ready. Puts it
into perspective, doesn't it?
That's all you need is that shift. Where you're like,
and that's like, again, that is in a way comparing. You go, well, look what he's doing.
Aye, and that a good place.
Inspired them to go, if he can do that, I can do this. Yep. And that's so helpful in many ways, in many parts of life.
I don't think that's stealing joy. I think that's giving you that, I think that's like, oof, that's giving you some fire in your belly.
Yeah, it does, yeah. And there's great achievements when you can, especially when you do something you didn't want to do. Yeah. And then you complete it and you're like, I didn't want to go for that run. It always feels way better than the run you did want to go for. Yeah. Or the training session you did.
Well, I mean, you know yourself. I mean, like, I don't think it matters what sport. If you've done something long enough, I mean, I've had a few days like training. I hate running. I'll do it if I need to, but the cycling, I've had a few really hard days. But the gym's the one that stands out because like it's hard, really hard to go and be explosive and really push when you don't feel like it. Like it's the from where you're at feeling and where you need to get to is a big gap to cover. And you'll know yourself, like they're the days that you go, that really counted. That was the day where I could that small decision to come today and not give in. Yeah, really made a big difference. So
huge, and it pays off like long term in terms of drawing yourself back to that. There was a day. It was a Saturday morning, so every Saturday I for training for my walk, I was doing 30-mile simulation walk, and then through the week I was getting all my other training, and I had to start in December. So December, obviously UK weather, and I remember stepping out my door because obviously it's dark too.
You barefoot?
Yeah. So, and it's 4 a.m, and I always thought this would be a great title for the start of a book. 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm standing outside my house. I've got no shoes on. I'm freezing cold. I've got 30 miles to walk. Like, how did I get here? You know, like all I wanted to do was turn around and go back to bed. And
so what's the key to that? Like when you go, is there ice on the ground?
It was just, yeah.
So what do you need to walk fast? So the contact point is...
Yeah, I was just walking fast and I was just getting through it. And I suppose the drive for my training and for the walk was probably not a positive one, and in the sense that, and again, I've learned and grown from it, so I can...
where did it come from?
The drive was, I kept telling myself that if I wasn't going to be here anymore, so last month I was on a bridge, I'm going to do this walk or I'm going to die, because I'm going to die trying, because I was going to die anyway. Last month, I wasn't going to be here last month. So in terms of being the wrong mentality, I understand now. I was basically using the fact that, like, the end of my life to motivate me, and it wasn't the right thing to motivate me. It got me through things, got me through that whole thing. It did, but I've learned that actually there's more powerful things than that. Mm. There's if I thought that the threat of the end of my life was powerful, how much more powerful is the threat of living my life? And that changed my perspective on it. And then it was like, I'm going forward now because I took that step back. I'm never taking a step back again. Mm-hmm. I've took the step back that I needed to take back, the one most important step I'll ever take back. Now, my steps are forward. Yep. So I used to say to myself, one. I used to count one. Don't know why I liked the number one. I was just counting one.
Every one step?
One.
Fuck
one.
Training with you.
Yeah, it was boring. But it was, yeah, it just kept giving me a bit of like I'd completed it. I completed one.
What was like it sounds like, for talking to you, it sounds like this thing was more mental than it was physical. Yeah,
I think it was very physical, but like
give us the physical parts first, because I think the mental ones is
physically, obviously carrying the weight, my legs, and my body.
How much weight were you carrying?
Not much, probably about kilos, I'd say. Maybe like 15 kilos or...
It's still decent. I mean,
yeah, I had to have all my camping stuff with me. I was lightweight.
That's quite good, 15 kilos.
Yeah, I actually, that's what I struggled with most, because I was having to try and buy expensive kit that was, because it was extremely lightweight. Like, my tent was like 750 grams. You know, everything was so lightweight, but it was really expensive. So...
How much did it cost in total to do your walk, do you reckon?
So, the kit cost me like... couple of like 1,500 quid to nearly to $2,000, you know, because I didn't have anything, neither bag, tent, everything was lightweight, so it was dear. Then I was obviously not working for 2 months while I was doing it. Then I was missing out on work when I was training for it. So I was looking to get like some sort of sponsorships, and I got help with a few friends. They have like small businesses, but they're only small businesses and they can't, you know, help that much. So I just used my savings that I had.
Right. So how much do you reckon it was all out? Like if you took what you would have made if you were working, what you total expense on kit, food, all that sort of stuff, time off, like what was the total outlay?
I'd say probably like, if you say the challenge was 3 months, the month before it where I weren't really
so you got 3 months wages that are gone straight away, and then you've got all the kit on top of it.
Yeah.
And then you've got the expenses of your food and all that.
Yeah, getting up to Scotland, it was definitely like a good few grand. Yeah. Good few grand, like over $5,000, I reckon, maybe. I don't earn that much, but and so physically it was more painful than fit. Like, you know, like you get sore from training. Mm-hmm. Body gets used to that. I think your body will get used to anything you do. The pain on my feet, I expected to go quicker when I got on the walk. I'd conditioned myself as much as I could. And
You mean the pain lasted longer than you thought?
Yeah, like just stepping. I thought my feet would get harder quicker, and when I'd step on stones and things that hurt, and I'd be like, yeah, it's not hurting anymore. And it was a couple of weeks longer than I anticipated.
I mean, I don't know how you done it. I stood in a fucking dog chew the other night and nearly hit the ceiling.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how much you can actually feel through your feet. And one of the most amazing things I will say about like I don't go barefoot walking now. Mm-hmm. One of the most amazing things about walking.
I think you've done your fucking bit.
I've done enough. Is you can't look at things because you have to look at where you're walking. Yeah. So I always like to think I was connecting to, like, in a way, a weird way, like tribal people, you know, where when you're walking, if I want to stop and look at something that has my attention, that has, you know, an animal, whatever, we don't take things in nowadays in life. We're walking along and we've got shoes on. Don't have to look at what we're stepping on, and we can look around and we're like not taking everything in. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to see anything on that walk, I had to stop. I had to stop and look up and look at it. Yep. I can't walk because I'm going to step on something that's going to hurt. So then when I wanted to walk, look back down and walk. Yep. So it made me actually appreciate the things that were around me. But yeah, it was more the pain rather than the fit. Once after 2 weeks, my body was quite adapted to, like, getting the miles in. My legs, my back was feeling okay.
No issues with, like, the straps?
No, like I had my kit set up really well.
Chaffing or anything?
No, I've did some, like, tricks and tips that, you know, I've learned over the years. Yeah, and, like, I had, like, bits of padding on stuff, right, and I cut padding away, and I was quite good with it. And I'd obviously been training for the last few months solid with it anyway. So yeah, it was the pain on my feet, and then just the extreme hunger, and because I was.
Did you not have enough food?
Well, I didn't want to carry too much food. So
be hoping that guy with the Scotch egg showed up.
Yeah, I was hoping that I'd see him a few times and see him once. Yeah. So yeah, I was trying to stop at, like, shops and things as I could, and then, like, eating enough food but not carrying it with me so then I could go. But obviously when you're in the middle of nowhere, there's no shops. Yeah, so it definitely was more, it got to a point where it was a mental battle. There were days where I was on really tough ground and for like 17, 18 hours, I was...
What's tough ground?
Like trails.
Like gravelly, rocky.
Gravel, but there's not much gravel. This was the weird one. If there's loads of gravel, it's like, it's okay. It hurts, but it's not like as bad as when there's random bits of gravel. So, like, you're thinking you're stepping on something all right, and then there's an odd stone that's sharp, and I was on this horrendous path, and 17 hours on that path of me just taking one step and, like, having to stop and just breathe, take another step, and that was a tough day. That one of the toughest days on the challenge, but I just kept saying one more, and I will get to something. I get to a better bit of road. I get to a field. I get to somewhere where it's going to be better than this. Mm-hmm. You've got to keep it. But one thing I can guarantee, I won't get to anywhere better if I stay here. Yep. I've got to take another step. So yeah, it was very difficult mentally because of the length and the slowness of it all. You know, sometimes when you want to finish something, you speed up a bit. Like, I'll get it done. Couldn't do that with this. I could not do it.
Purely because of the pain on your feet?
Yeah, and the distance that I was having to cover each day.
What was your best day distance? What was your worst day?
My best day was about 32 mile, which was forced because I got chased out of a little village in Scotland.
Chased?
Yeah, like, it was like this private place, and I set my tent up, and some guy came in and was like, you can't camp here, you gotta leave. So I was like, okay. And I'd already done me miles for the day, so didn't want to walk any further. Walked about another mile through the village, found another little bit of, got my tent out. Hadn't even got my tent up. Someone else came over. We'll call the police. You can't camp around here. We have no campers. I was like, okay, I'm doing this.
What was it called? Do you remember?
I can't remember the name, but I've got it on my notes. I put it on my Instagram. People like, what, you got chased out of a village? I was like, when I say chased, they were just saying they're going to call the police. And then I got out of the village, and then I was like, well, now where am I camping? I had the sea on that side. There was like a river, on that side. No, it was by I'll remember the river because that'll tell me where the town was. It was by a river. There was a river on that side, and there was fields on this side full of cows. So I was like, I can't camp anywhere here, like literally nowhere. Walking. And I was like, it's getting dark almost now. And I come to this farmhouse, and I was like, may as well try it. Knocked on his door, and he was like, go and camp down there. And he'd like mowed the field right by the river. And it was one of the best camp spots I ever had. It was amazing. It was like my own little field on the river.
What did you say to him?
I was just like, I'm doing this challenge, I'm doing this walk. I've tried camping up there. And he was like, I don't know what this village has gone to. It never used to be like this. He was like, I'm sorry that they treated you that way. He's like, do you want anything? Do you want a cup of tea? Do you want any food? I was like, no, I'm good. I just want to get me tent up and go to sleep. So that was like the longest day I probably had. And then the shortest day was that day I did where I was on for 17 hours on that trail. I just got about just over 26 miles.
Still good.
I was aiming.
It's a long day, right enough.
Yeah, I was aiming to do 30 mile every day.
Right.
So that I could like, once I got towards the end, I could shorten my days a bit and like sort of have lesser longer walks. But yeah, it was.
What sort of stuff are you thinking about when you're doing this? Like, tell me about. We were talking about the one when we were coming over to the studio. You pitched the tent.
Where I got lost.
You got lost, and you were off. You were hoping to save the miles. You were going to add the 30 miles.
So I was on the A9.
I full transparency, I fucking love suffering, man.
Yeah. So I was on this road, and this road's going forever, and I'm like, I never want to see this road again in my life.
Do you remember where it was?
It's the A9. A9 road that just goes forever. Like, I don't even. I've walked
the road.
And, at first, it was beautiful. I was seeing all these amazing things, and then it wasn't beautiful after like 2 weeks nearly walking it, or a week and a half. And I was like, it's a bit cold. It's a bit, I'm getting bored of this road. Maybe I'll cut out a bit of the route, so I'll like cut across through like near the Cairngorms. I'll cut across and like miss the road out because it's looping right round.
And are you using a map or anything? Like, how are you?
Yeah, on my phone.
Right.
So
how are you charging your phone?
Battery packs.
How are you charging them?
Like shops and like cafes and stuff that I'd try to like. So they'd last me like a few days.
Right.
So every few days I'd need to get to somewhere. That was a good driver because I know I need to get, Yeah. And so on the map I'm like, well, this goes right round, and if I go this way, I'll save myself like 30 mile, and then I'll do an extra 30 mile when I'm down south. When I got to the very bottom, I ended up zigzagging across rather than walking along the coast. I ended up going from coast to coast like twice, just to make the miles up. But I get onto this Cairngorms, it's raining, weather's gone crap. It rained for 3 days straight. Phone signal goes. So I've got no signal, so I can't get on my maps. And then I'm like, because I'm so like a bit disoriented, I'm tired, I've got low food, not much water, I'm drinking out of streams. And like,
I take it you're not wanting to carry the map because that's extra weight.
Yeah, I didn't even think of it. I just thought my phone will do.
Right.
I've got good, should be good signal. And I'm sticking on roads and trails. So some of the trails like 200 mile long. As long as you stay on the trail, it should be well signposted. A lot of trails aren't. Anyway, so I'm on this path through the Cairngorms that I've like kind of made myself. I'll go there. And I get lost. So I'm like looking up thinking,
how is it you got lost? Did you just lose the trail?
I had my head down. Yeah, and I was just walking, and then there was kind of no trail at one point, and I was like, well, I know I'm heading to that hill. And then when I looked up, I was like, was that the hill I was heading to?
Oh, no.
There's hills there and there and there.
Yep.
And obviously I know get to high ground you can see. So I got to high ground, just could see another hill. I was like,
welcome to Cairngorms.
I don't know where to go here. And I was like, do a turn back and like follow me footsteps. And that's stupid. I'm not going to find me footsteps. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I just carried on like going to the highest points.
Yep.
And the weather was horrendous. My body was at its sorest because it was like 2 weeks in. My feet were like almost like rot foot, from like trench foot type stuff.
Wet, because constantly wet.
The bleeding, skin's ripped away, and the only time I did this on my walk, I got in my tent in the middle of the day. I'd never got in my tent. Always the end of the day I get in, and I lied down. And I just was done. I lied there and I cried, and I was like, I can't do this.
Just let it out.
Yeah, I can't do it. And then I was like, well, if I can't do it, what do I do? I can't go back. And And I had then that scary thought of there's plenty of cliffs, there's plenty of places here, and people would just think it's an accident. People would just think he was doing something great and he was trying to help people, and
he was doing what he loved.
Yeah, and I could get the best of both. I could, not be here and be at peace, what I thought at the time, but at the same time not be seen as someone who did that. And I was lying there just thinking these thoughts, obviously whilst I'm crying my eyes out, and then I don't know what it was. I got this feeling of like, almost like someone grabbed me by the chest and just pulled me up. And I sat up and I was like, a voice in my head just said, just find the road. Just get back to the road. And if you want to go home, go home. It's okay. Like, it's okay to not, to fail at it. Like, almost like permission. And so I got out my tent, still raining, pack it away, carry on walking.
How long were you in the tent?
For about 2 hours, I think an hour and a half, not long. Got out my tent, packed it up, carried on walking, another 3 hours. And I get to this next high point where I'm like, I'm going to see another hill over this, like I've been seeing. And I get to this high point and I see the road just down there. And people, I don't know whether people will believe me or not, but the weather had been terrible for 3 days. And when you're in the rain, but you can see the sun.
Yep.
That happened, and I was like, it's going to be okay. And I remember just feeling like that, it's going to be okay.
Anybody that doesn't believe that hasn't spent any time in Scotland.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I felt like that was a sign to me.
Oh,
like,
big time.
You can do this. You're going to be okay.
But imagine being like, you were only just the other side of that hill in complete depths of despair.
Yeah.
And just over that hill was the sunshine and the, hey, look, you were so close, but you back on that other side of the hill felt a million miles away.
Yeah.
And you were so close, you were right there. It was the grass root before it pops through the surface.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. You're like, you're right there.
Yeah, that's it. And after that, the next four weeks was easy. Like, it was hard, obviously, on my body.
Yeah.
But I never had a doubt in my mind then.
What do you think switched in your mind?
That I don't know. Like that,
what was it before? So what was it before? What was it after?
Before that
right, so,
hill.
Yeah, before the hill, you were one way, and then something happened, and then the 4 weeks were easy.
It was, I suppose, the sense of that. Yeah, that's like a sign. I don't know what you would call it. Sign. A higher purpose. Something said to me, "You're not quitting this."
Did you just feel that it was right?
Yeah, you're not. You're not gonna. It was like I become a different person. It was like I literally walked over that hill and become. It was like something had changed me.
Did you leave the old?
Yeah, like he died in the tent. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it was done. That's cool.
Like I say, I'm not fixed, but yeah.
Hey, it's never fixed.
No,
it's higher highs, higher lows.
Yeah, and then, like I say, after that, like, it was obviously...
The fuck you want to be fixed for?
It was hard, and I still stood on stuff and was like,
Yeah.
But I never once after that point doubted that I weren't getting to where I was going. And
belief.
The belief that's what I'd say it is, that people don't underestimate the power of being able to believe you can do something.
What did you believe in?
I believe that there's not a thing on this planet that can stop me getting to where I'm going. Yeah. There's nothing, because I'll walk around it, I'll walk over it, I'll stop if I have to, I'll lie in my tent and cry. Like, I can do that. I just did it. I'll do whatever I have to do. Yep. But one thing is very clear to me: I will not stop. Mm-hmm. Even if I don't hit my 30 mile today and I hit 1 mile, looks like I'm not going home for a year then. If I do 1 mile a day, I will not stop. And that belief then just sailed me through. And like I say, it was still difficult every day, but I wasn't worried anymore that I was going to fail. So previous to that, those 2 weeks, I was like, I'm worrying that I'm not going to make it. I'm worrying that after that, I was never worried that I weren't going to make it. It was just preparing preparing myself for when I made it.
How heavy was doubt? 15 kilos was on your back. How heavy was doubt? Because you left it in that tent. You left it there.
Yeah. Heavy as the mountain I was on. It was, but
it sounds like self-belief. What you're describing it as, you believed in yourself. You started believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Like when you let go of doubt, when you left doubt there in that tent, you put doubt with one hand and you picked up belief with the other.
Yeah. And it's funny as well, because I had got a stone from John O'Groats, and I was going to take it to Land's End. And I get to Land's End, and there's a guy who's raising money for, I think it was something to do with his wife. I don't know what exactly it was, but I was obviously like doing the last mile of my walk. And there was people who'd come down to see me, and everyone was waiting there, and it was amazing. And he was just about to set off the opposite way. He was running. And I remember they had the stone, and I took my stone out, and I was like, I wanted to keep the stone. It's like the one thing I want to get to. I want to put it on Land's End, and then I'm going to take it home with me. Get a picture of it. I'm going to take that stone home with me and say, it's been with me the whole way. And I gave him the stone. I said, take it back to John O'Groats, and hopefully that'll, when if you're struggling, you'll look at the stone and go, someone brought it all the way here, and he didn't have any shoes on, so I can jog with my shoes on. Nearly half the distance, it gave him a little bit of motivation. And then a few weeks later, he took a photo of him at the other end at John O'Groats with the stone. So now it's back where it belongs. So
that's cool. That
was a really nice thing at the end of the.
It was meant to be. That was the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Did they ever tell you about if it was tough times and he thought about the stone? He says,
never spoke to him. To be fair, he just tagged me in a picture saying he looked like he was a good runner.
Yeah, have asked them.
I should, probably, maybe.
I mean, even good runners, they have hard times.
Of course, yeah.
Everybody just looks at the success.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't go like, when was it shit?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's the rawness. We go, look, it was fucking hard.
Yeah.
And here's how I got out of it. Here's what I did.
Times. Yeah.
And think of him he's carrying a stone, took it all the way back up. Yeah. Bagged you in. That's cool.
Yeah, it's nice. And then I went home. And then different than I was, and obviously I've improved as a person since it's been 2 years.
So what was it like after? So you cross the line, people are there. Like, was it what you expected?
Yeah, it was just friends and family, people from the gym had come down. It was amazing, and I remember being in like a little minibus on the way back, and everyone's talking, and I don't even know why, but I kind of disappeared into. Like, people weren't talking to me, they were just all talking to each other. I was just sitting there looking at the sun thinking, like, it's weird being back into this civilization, like society. I've been out of society, and I was just sitting there smiling, looking at the sun. And then people were like, are you okay? And I was like, oh, sorry. Didn't realise, like, conversations are happening. I'm not used to. For the last 60 days, I've not really spoke to anyone. I've just been in nature every day. And I get in the house, press the button on the kettle. I just stood there and smiled to myself, and I was like, wow. I've not had the use of a kettle. I've had to get me jet boil out and boil water, and like just the simplest of things, pressing a bottle on a kettle. And I found myself for that week, which is quite sad because I'm not doing that now. Like, I should be doing it every day. For that week, I was pressing buttons on kettles and smiling. I was turning the water on in the bath or a shower and smiling before I was about to enjoy it. I was smiling, all these little things, because I realised how grateful I am to be able to just boil a kettle. And like I said, I thought I'd be fixed. I thought it's going to cure everything, and then I realised it weren't. So I was a bit down. I've had this big high, and I'm down for a bit. And then I tried to force myself into another challenge. So I was like, I need to do something else. But it wasn't organic. It wasn't nothing natural that was coming to me, and I was trying to think of this idea and that idea, and nothing was really. I was thinking of good ideas, but I weren't motivated to do them. You can't do a big challenge unless you've got great purpose behind it. So I just left it, enjoyed my life as a better person now than I was, as a more improved person.
Higher
high. And carried on working in the gym, overcome some fears of competition, because I hadn't competed for years. And I thought, you know what, I'm a bit afraid to compete because of what it used to be like. I'm going to go and compete and deal with the pressures of that, and just improve myself in general, slowly, with little steps. And then I had a weird dream, and I woke up in the morning. The first question in my head was, I wonder how far, I wonder what's the furthest anyone's ever crawled, commando crawled. And then that was like, that's what I'm going to do. So that's now.
What did you dream?
In my dream, I had a dream, one of those dreams where like you're doing something and it's not satisfying what you're doing. So like you drink the water and you dream and then you're like still thirsty. So you drink the water and then or like you're trying to open the door. You can't open the door and it won't open, even though it's not locked. Those like stupid things. In my dream, I was crawling on the floor. Didn't even know why. And then I went to get up. I couldn't get up. I was like, what's going on? Like there's nothing behind me and I couldn't get up. And then when I woke up, I stood up in the dream and woke up. And I was like, it was weird that it was like a mad dream. There's loads of other stuff happening in it as well. One of those random, everything's all over the place. But then that's what led to that first question. I was like, I wonder what's the furthest anyone's ever crawled. So I started looking into that and I was like, I feel like I did with the walk. I feel different. It's not like I'm forcing this. This has just come out of nowhere. And I feel like, well, what's the message behind this? And then the one thing I want to show with my next challenge, which is going to be the longest commando crawl in the world. So
what's the longest currently?
So the longest world record for a crawl on hands and knees is 30.
Is it distance or time?
Distance.
Right.
It's 34 miles, something like that. But that's on hands and knees. So when I do my attempt to break that record, I'll set 2 records. I'll set the world record for the longest crawl in general. But I'm doing commando crawl, so I'm on my stomach, on my knees, flat. So there isn't a record for that. But I'm gonna do 37 miles so that I break.
Why are you not going for 40?
I have no idea. I just picked 37. Like with my walk, I picked 1,350 and no idea. I could have picked...
What was the previous record?
1,000 for the walk.
Yeah.
1,200 and something. Like I could have just done 1 mile more.
Yeah.
But I just like the idea that sometimes a number comes to me and I'm like...
So what was 37?
Unexplained.
Feel good?
Last time with my walk...
Well, 3 plus 7 is your 10 and 10 is your 10 pence that was in your pocket.
Yeah, well, the reasoning behind... So last time I came up with this 1,350 miles and what was scary was I'd never planned my route. And 2 weeks...
What?
So I knew I needed to do 1,350 miles. And I knew that the route was like this trail, that trail.
Yeah.
But I'd never added them up and connected them. And so 3 weeks before my walk, I was like, right, let's finalise the route. And I added it up for the first time. And it came to 1,348 miles. And I was like, it can't be a coincidence that I've just came up with 1,350.
Yep.
And I've never known that all of the route that I was going to do would work out 2 mile difference. Mm-hmm. So with this, I'm just kind of leaving it to maybe in a month or two I'll go. That's the reason why it's 37. But I'm going to aim to do 37 miles in under 48 hours.
And where do you do? Would you do something like this? So is it a beach?
We haven't got that far yet in terms of the location.
Is there no conditions? Because I'm thinking if you're doing something like this, you're better doing something that's in a circuit or circle or a track or something like that.
An Olympic track maybe, with a gazebo that I crawl through. So every lap I know where I am, and every lap I can. So I've got to keep my knees on the ground. Can't leave the ground. I've got to keep my knees on the ground so I can eat and drink.
So you can't move, but you can be stationary on your knees, but your knees must be in contact with the ground all the time.
Yeah. And so I've got to essentially do that for. If it was an Olympic track, it'd be like 150 laps of commando crawling, which is.
What about like your big thing with nature there is that it seemed that you were really enjoying the nature. I mean, the Olympic track's going to kill that.
Yeah, so maybe a field
doing
then or somewhere, because I'm not going to be able to do it on like a trail because it's just not controllable.
Yeah.
So it needs to be some sort of like arena, field, Olympic track where we can measure the distance.
Sure, we could bring your cow into the field, surely, like into the track.
Could do, yeah. Get some people to
bell and stuff like that. A couple of squirrel. We'll get some of the Karens from the village. We'll find out where they fuckers are, and we'll say, like, you want to come down and moan about something?
We could find the Scotch egg guy. Bring him
That'd
along.
be good. He'd be good.
Yeah, you can like feed me
get some pictures of the abandoned farm from Wales.
Yeah.
Put them up.
Yeah, just like a montage of life as I'm crawling through it.
That's it.
But yeah, so it's
You can make like a tunnel, so you need to crawl through it.
yeah,
Like that's you going through the next bit.
the
That
trauma
should,
tunnel.
that should be like you're just shedding it.
Let's make it a bit harder. We're going to create a trauma tunnel.
We could do like a fun house. So you could have like, you could do it where you need to crawl with it on your back and do one lap, and then you need to put it into the tent, which is where you leave all your shit.
Yeah.
So you leave your doubt, you leave your fear, you leave your self-sabotage, you just toss it in the tent.
Yeah.
And it'll be like a weird sort of fun house of like, right, I'm collecting that one and I toss it in there.
Yeah.
And at least give you something to think about for 40 years.
It actually would, to be fair. Boring, just crawling around.
Just crawling around. But look, I need to take that round 3 laps and dump it in the trauma tent.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
How do you do it? How, I spoke to you on Instagram about this. Like, how are you going to do the toilet? And have you tried it yet?
No. I'm going to have to
Are you just going to back, like, you're going to, how are we going to deal with it?
Take some Imodium.
You need a fucking lot of Imodium. You need a shitload of Imodium, if you excuse the pun.
A bucket, I imagine. You have to do it in a bucket.
What did they do? The ones that have got the record before?
No idea. I imagine I have to keep my knees on the ground, so you're going to have to do it in a bucket.
You could stick your backside and drop a log, I suppose, but you'd still be on your knees, but somebody's going to clean it up.
Yeah, or like a bag.
A bag, yeah.
Yeah.
We think of like the snipers in the army, that would be able to be a bag.
Yeah, it won't be, to be honest, I don't imagine I'll be going to the toilet that often anyway, like probably a couple of times. It's 48 hours, your body will be using a lot of what I'm putting in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just good. I've got to keep it continuous, so I've got to I can't leave, obviously. Can't get up and go for an hour's break.
Is it going to be continual? Or are you going to try and get a sleep?
I'm just going to try and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better just pushing through, aren't you?
Yeah, and if my body gets to the point where I need to stay lying down on my front for 20 minutes, then it's 20 minutes that I'm eating away at the time to finish it. So, and
is there a time basis? Is it all distance?
Yeah, all distance. So I can take as long as I want, but the longer you do it, the more I'm exposed to conditions and more likely problems. Is
it indoor or outdoor specific?
So I want to do it outdoor. But
yeah, but is there no requirement in terms of
I could do it indoor if I wanted to. I just like the idea.
Could you crawl indoor if if it push came to shove?
Yeah.
So there's a lightning storm, for instance. Could you just crawl indoors and continue going round?
Yeah, if we had the facility to do that, yeah. But what
about like knee pads and things like that? Are you using?
There's no specification on that, so I can.
Right.
I imagine that I don't want to be getting cut because it's going to be hard enough on my body as it is on the ground for so long. So we're not, again, logistically.
Just your contact points are they're not typical contact points for that length of time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think knees,
it's going to be hard on them.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of pain, I reckon, through that. But I think the important thing is just to take it with the walk, one step at a time. It's going to be breaking it down into one crawl at a time or one lap at a time, or it's just going to be very long. And I think it's going to be quite physically sore on my chest and your body because you're not used to doing that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's I'm aiming to do it in under 48 hours, so I don't want to be out there for forever. And I like the idea of crawling into the dark, so it goes nighttime because it's going to take me through 2 nights. So I crawl through the dark all the way into the light, through the dark, and then finish in the morning, hopefully, of the second day. And the whole purpose of this, which is I want people to understand most about why I'm doing it, is because I want the challenge to represent, no matter how much you're down on your knees in life and you're on the floor and you feel like you can't stand back up and you're wet and you're cold, I want to show that you can stand back up. So when I get to 37 miles, the most significant part of it will be me standing up and saying, look, this is a physical example. I've just crawled for the longest crawl in the world.
Yep.
And I stood up at the end of it. And if you're in that position,
you feel like you're crawling and you're on rock bottom and keep going.
Keep crawling.
Because one point you're going to be able to get back up.
Be able to stand back up.
That's amazing, man. It's really good.
That's the purpose of why I'm doing it.
What about in terms of this time round, about raising awareness, sponsorship, support, anything like that? What?
Yeah, so last time I did it for Mind UK, the charity, and I raised about 45,000, I think, for the charity. Now, I know people have their views on charities on terms of people are very negative against them. Some people are very positive against them. I'm a bit in the middle. I don't want to like say that the money that was raised didn't go to helping people. It did. I think that and I will say this because it's the truth. I even contacted Mind about it. The help that they gave me as a fundraiser was nothing. I got a little box when I said I was going to fundraise for them with a flag in it and a water bottle, and I didn't hear from them at all.
Yeah.
Until the fundraising had finished, and I got a certificate in the post, which was scrumpled up, saying thank you for raising money for Mind. And I emailed them saying, I raised this massive amount of money. A lot of people have donated. It's hard times in the UK at the moment for people. And no doubt the money will go to help people. But your help that you give to your fundraisers, with all the connections you've got and all the facilities you've got, was zero. You know, I had to sit on a Channel 4 new TV program. I went on like a lunchtime TV program with two other people who were doing challenges too, and they were telling me all the stuff that their charity's helping them with, and you know all the things they've helped them with to get them towards a challenge. And I had to sit there and be quiet because I didn't want to say anything bad about you know my charity, and which was really unfortunate because I was like, I can't really say anything. I've done everything myself.
Yeah. So what sort of support would have been good?
So with the world we're in at the moment, it's all about reach. The more people that see what you're doing, the more people will engage with what you're doing and support it. And the message I'm trying to get out there is about mental health, and it's about helping people. It's not about making everyone donate money. So this time I don't think I'm going to do any fundraising. I'm just going to create awareness, more awareness. And if you can get more views on what you're doing, that message will reach more people, and it's free. People just go on the phone and see it. They don't have to do anything. They just see it. And if they watch it, you get views on your videos, and that then pushes it even further, and people will see it even more. There's no ulterior motive to that. I'm not trying to do anything for me.
You ever thought about doing like a fundraiser to go and buy that farm in Wales?
This is what I was considering for this challenge. I looked at it and went, you know what? I did 45,000. Say I did another 40,000. That's 85,000. Could I do my own charity? Could I do my own thing? And more so, could I do the first one, the first transparent one? So every penny that comes into a charity and every penny that goes out of the charity is photographed and posted. No CEO on £400,000 a year for working 1 hour a week. Some places do that. I know some charities don't, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want to label all charities in the same category here, because there's some amazing ones that are doing what they're saying. But then there's also, we see it in the news, we see people talking about it. There's some charities that are, you know, paying really, really high salaries to people, and a lot of the money's going to, in my opinion, to waste. So I think it'd be a really cool idea to have a charity that operated in a way which was fully transparent.
It would be interesting to see what charities are out there that would be aligned with the idea of some sort of sanctuary.
Yeah.
The location sounds, I mean, again, I'm only going off your description, but it sounds like it'd be an ideal sort of setup, and it would be a good use of the ruins that are there.
Yeah.
The other thing that you would have is that you would be able to have continual support from charities that would have people that they're looking to directly help.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. You would also, like, what type of businesses would have, some sort of goal, or they have a philosophical view of what you're doing, and they like that story. Who would they be? So things like businesses that are looking to reach youth, businesses that are looking to promote their products that would help. There's a whole ecosystem there of people that would
definitely
that would suit. So it'd be interesting to see who they would be. What about businesses that want to get behind you?
Yeah, so I didn't really know how to go about it last time. I just spoke to a few people who I knew, but since then I've obviously learned, and I've spoken to other people who've done challenges where they've been actually sponsored by big companies, different brands, businesses, and it does cost me money, in the sense that I can't work as much as it would work if I've got to hire the track. I'm not talking, that track might be £100.
Yep.
Don't know, but it's going to cost me if I can't get the support of.
Well, my initial thought is like people that have got workwear or hardware and equipment, or they want to prove that their product can last. This guy's fucking crawled for 48 hours an hour clothing and it didn't break down. Like how rugged their stuff is. You've got people that, if there's pads or equipment, these fucking stood 48 hours of abuse. A guy never got off his knees, creams, all this sort of stuff, hydration, so much, fuel,
food,
the whole thing.
Everything, there's so much opportunity for, and I understand the way, what does the business get from it? And it's that my idea was to try to get sponsorship, which gave me a pot of money. And that money wouldn't go, the pot of money would go to paying for the things that I want to get paid for. Or if they don't want to put the money in, they can actually, if they've got their own videographer. Because basically what my plan is to try and get sponsorship. With that fund of sponsorship, I'm going to pay basically a videographer to get loads of footage of training, content. That footage is then professional footage. It's better than what I can do on my phone. That then gets put online. The brand gets professional level content that is hopefully reaching hundreds of thousands of people every day online. And what do I get from that? I don't get any money from it. I don't get anything from it. What I get from it is the hundreds of thousands of people seeing my videos, and then they go, well, why is he doing it? And then they see the video of he's doing it because of this. And then they go, oh, I feel like that. And it helps them. That's it. I don't want nothing, and I don't want to take anything from anyone. I want to give.
No, it's more help. About, I think more from the point of view of if you're getting something in terms of remuneration or there's a way that you can continue doing these things that will continue you on the purpose, then that shouldn't be discounted just because you might be getting money from it. Because if that money allows you to train, if that money allows you to go and do new challenges, pay for the content and stuff like that, that's a good thing.
That's it. Yeah, it's like
I don't think it's the same as the CEO working an hour a week for 400 grand a year. I think it's very, very different. So it shouldn't be looked at as dirty in that sense. But I mean, I just see the whole sort of thing. There's fuel, there's clothing, there's creams, there's
which I tried on my last challenge, and it was like when I say I didn't know what I was doing, I did try. No response from anyone. The
different thing is it's the same as the Ross Cook situation is that was the first one. So now you've got that on your CV going, look, I can walk the walk. I'm not just bullshitting here that I'm going to go and do, like you said about you cutting your foot and barbed wire fence, that would have been the end of it. So if a sponsor's putting 10, 20k behind it in terms of money or product or coverage or whatever it is, then they want to know that whoever's doing it is not just going to talk the talk but walk the walk.
Definitely,
so I think you're coming from a very different place now. Where someone would be like, no, look, this is definitely worth a look. Even the places that are doing like whatever you're going to do your crawl, they might want to promote it and all that sort of stuff. So
that's it. So logistically, we haven't got a lot of things sorted yet because I'm trying to start there. So obviously the challenge I'm aiming is we've not got an official date, but I'm aiming to do it towards the end of September. But I am trying to build. I'm trying to build it in a better way than I did last time. So I'm trying to get more people involved to support what it is that I'm actually doing. I'm trying to, like, with my walk, there was no content at all of me training other than me on my phone every now and then going, there's my feet, there's me. People aren't going to really engage. People who know me and my friends are going to engage in that, but the random person scrolling is not going to engage in that. And like I say, the more people see what I'm doing, the more people hopefully I can help with the story behind of the reason of why I'm doing it. A friend of mine said, and it was a good example, he said, you did your walk and you made this much impact. Like, there's your walk, here's your impact. But he said, if Ant or Deck of Saturday Night Takeaway did that walk, what do you think their impact would be? Like, and it's the same walk. So it's actually more about you now, because I was very anti wanting to be in things. Like I didn't really like being in front of the camera, promoting myself, because I felt like it's not about me, it's about the cause that I'm doing. But I've realised I've got to promote myself and make my profile bigger so more people see what I'm doing. So it's all about reach. Yeah, so that's the kind of where I'm at with it at the moment. I need to start working on like, well, who's going to get involved with it?
Mm-hmm.
Once they do that, I can go like, well, now I've got the ability to set this date and pick the what we're doing. Are we fundraising for a charity that's helping us? Are we not fundraising for a charity? Are we going to do our own thing? That's the beauty of this next challenge, is I do have a bit more control in when I do it. With the walk, I had to start and like catch that summer because I don't want to be doing it in the winter. With this, I can go, well, I've got August, September. It can be that weekend. It can be that weekend, you know, depending on the venue, depending on, you know, different things happening. So yeah, I'm trying to be a bit more logical about this one because I just wanted to get as much notice as possible so that it can reach as many people as possible and help them. That's the whole point of it.
Good. What would be, so overall, what do you think your message is to those out there that are listening? Like, what would you say is the thing that you go, this is why I'm doing it?
I would say the being down on your knees. If you feel like you're not on your knees in life and that you can't get up, keep crawling forward, and then you will be able to get up at some point. You might not be able to get up right there, but the weight's too heavy. But if you keep going forward, you will eventually be able to stand back up, and then once you're standing back on your feet, it's a whole different view from being down on the ground. Yeah, I think that's the main message of it all. It's, you know, I just want people to not feel the way I felt. That's it. You know, just if I can help one person do that.
What do you want them to feel?
I want them to feel everything we've spoken about. I want people to feel like loved, not just by people, but by themselves, valued, like they can do anything. You know, like nothing's impossible. They can walk over that hill and have that self-belief. You know, they can stand back up on their feet even when they've been knocked down. And yeah, that, you know, we're all on this planet together, so we can help each other. You know, it doesn't have to be you don't have to do things on your own. We're not meant to be on our own. We're not meant to be isolated and you know, you may feel like no one's there for you or no one's going to help you, but there will be people. You've just got to, you know, no one can grab your hand if you don't reach out your hand. That's kind of an important thing that people need to realize. I never realized it. I always felt like no one wants to help me. No one cares. Maybe if you start asking, people will start noticing, and then they go, oh, actually, that person does need help. I always thought he was fine. He was strong. He seemed like he was a strong, tough guy to me. How could I help him? So people probably assume that you don't need help especially if you're giving off this image.
If you're pushing them away and you don't know you're pushing them away.
Yeah, and
pushing them away because you're keeping up the facade.
Yeah, you're wearing a mask and people see that mask and believe it and go, he's got it all pieced together. He's got a nice house, nice car, nice family. He's lifting. He looks great. Everything's great. No one's going to assume that you need help unless you say, listen, I'm actually struggling with this and I could do with a bit of help.
How do people follow you? How do they get in touch? Keep track of your...
Yeah, so I've got my Instagram page and I've started a TikTok page, which is just Nathan Dunn. So that'll come up and you can see. I'm going to try to document as much as I can everything that I'm doing, from obviously the training to the mental health side of things, like my mindset, the struggles, the ups, the higher highs, the higher lows.
This is what I mean. This is where the juice is at, right? Because you see all the highs. And people get disconnected because they go, I get lows in my life. It just seems to be everybody gets highs and I get lows.
Yeah,
it's like showing the lows and how to like go, right, this is how you keep. This is how you get to the next high.
And that's the struggle, because I feel with content.
Yeah.
If I whip my phone out of myself in a low, is it really a low? You know, when you've been angry or you've been upset, the last thing you're thinking about is getting your phone out and recording it.
Yeah.
But if someone's there.
Even reviewing it, it's like even reviewing it, like you
Yeah.
go and you review it and you say, look, I had a really, really bad session there, and here's what happened, here's what led up to it,
Yeah.
here's the story behind it, because you know what people love? A story.
Yeah.
And you know what stories resonate with them? The ones that they feel.
Yeah.
And they go, I was in the shit there.
Yeah,
Right?
and that's
people
real, because you're not being...
I couldn't even talk to the camera. It was that bad.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just going to come on and I'm going to tell this might not be for everyone. You might be going great and that's good if you are, but I was in a hole.
Yeah.
Here's what the hole was like. And here's what I felt. Right. And if that sounds like you, then I'm going to tell you how I managed to get to the point where I can talk about this. And here's what I did.
Yeah.
Right. And you go, so if you're out there, here's what it is. Keep going. Right, and I'm going to keep documenting these. I'll document the highs, the lows, and the bits in the middle, so you can see that you're going to see all ends. So no matter if you're at the top of your game, I'll tell you how I've rode it as fast and as hard as I can, and if I'm in the absolute pits of despair, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing to get through there, and everything in between. And it's going to be raw, and it's going to be real. And if there's somebody out there that you think needs to hear this, send it along to them. Yeah, I'll just give you unfiltered truth. Yeah, because I've been the guy that's been on the end, standing over a bridge, nearly end of my life, to the point of now walking 1,350 miles barefoot. I can tell you, I know what highs, the highs feel like, and I can tell you what the lowest lows feel like. Yeah, to the point where you don't want to be here. Right, so if you think that that'll help, I'm going to put it out there so that you can get to where I am, where you realize what you've got within you. You realize that you're actually worth something, that you can love yourself, and that no matter how hard it's been, you can put down that doubt. You can pick up a bit of self-belief. And I'm going to show you how I done it, because if I done it, then you can do it. Yeah. And I think people love it. They'll love your story. Yeah.
And that's it. I just want to make sure that whatever I do put out there, that people see the realness in it. I'm not trying to become an Instagrammer or I'm just trying to, if I could have a page that had not me on it and had loads of views and people still got the message, then I'd take myself completely out of it. But it's just not possible. People need to...
They're buying into you. I know that's hard for somebody that started the majority of their life with self-value and self-doubt. People are buying into you. People buy into your story. They like what you're doing. And I know that must be like fucking vinegar in your eyes, but they like what you're doing. Right, and you're just going to need to come to terms with it. There's no other way of dealing with it. You're just going to need to face it, because everybody else is liking it, and you're just going to handle it. That's the way it is. And the sooner they handle the way it is, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be giving out exactly what it is that you need to give out, which is, here's how I did it. Right, that rawness and realness. There's no other way you're going to, you'll just feel really, really natural, and you'll just notice how much easier it'll feel.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just right now, all I'm focusing on is just training and starting to change my training. That I obviously train a lot anyway, but I'm just changing how I'm training now. So a lot of building up a lot more mental stresses. I've got some challenges I'm going to try to complete, to do some world firsts in the lead up to the crawl, and I'm going to do hopefully some fun, maybe get some of the people online to pick some of the workouts. Something fun, but obviously to test your mind. Like I had a guy in the gym the other day say, assault bike facing a wall with a picture of like a unicorn on it, and listening to a Taylor Swift song on repeat, and just stupid, but mentally doing that for 10 hours is going to be really tough. Or like someone else said, run a marathon, but run it in the reception. So just there and backwards. So it's a lot of, I'm going to do a lot of physical training, but a lot of mental resilience to build up that mental stress that I'm going to meet on the challenge.
There's one, we'll be able to put that out and say, look, what's the shittest, fucking most tough mentally challenge you can come up with here? Yeah. And just start throwing ideas about.
Exactly, yeah. And then at least people can get engaged with what I'm doing. Yep. And if it's obviously if I look at it and go, that's actually a fair play, that'll benefit me to do that challenge, then I'll do the challenge so that it improves my training for it. But like with the walk, there's only so much you can train, there's only so much you can do. You're never going to be fully prepared to crawl for 48 hours.
But the only way to prepare for it is to do it.
Exactly. So I don't want to over prepare.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Just go.
Yeah, and yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. Just trying to sort out people, hopefully getting involved with what I'm doing and training for it.
Good. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been great.
It's been great having you on. I'm glad you made the effort to come all the way up here.
Yeah, I said I'd never come back to Scotland.
Have we got you here?
After the walk, I was scarred from it, but I think I just said that at the time because it's
just the way you're feeling.
It's a beautiful place.
You've left your doubt somewhere as well. You need to come fucking collect that and get it, put it in the bin.
Hopefully no one else collects it by mistake.
They've cleared that away. Cleared that away. The guy that ran me your stone would have picked up and put it in the bin.
Yeah.
We're good at that. We come up here and people come with doubts. We shed them on the house, tied them away, and they feel much better.
There's nothing like a mountain to sort yourself out.
It will clear you out.
Yeah.
So, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Conversations with an Investor. Nathan, what a story, from standing on the edge of a bridge, nearly taking his own life, being in survival mode all the way through, to finally getting what people would class as the ideal life. And it just caused a wave of emotions where he just felt he couldn't deal with life any further, to the point where he wanted to end it all, and it set him off on a crazy mission, a purpose that he found to help and inspire others that maybe felt the way he felt back then. And he's demonstrating that through all these physical challenges, showing what's possible, not just physically, but also mentally, and being raw and authentic and real, showing you the way to get over these little hurdles that are in your mind, to inspire you to say, look, there's other people out there that feel exactly the way you feel, and that not only that, they've crawled out that hole, they've stood on their own 2 feet, they've walked those miles, those hard steps, and that if that's out there for you, then you can do the same as he's done. And he's been really, really great today, sharing his tale and sharing his story, putting his heart on his sleeve and bearing all. So please do give him a follow. We'll put all his social media channels in the show notes. If you come up with any bonkers challenges, we want to know about it. And we'll be looking forward to when he sets the dates and some of the world firsts leading up to his challenge this year in September for the world's longest crawl. And from us this week, that's a wrap.